Chapter 89. On Wednesday, Toru Watanabe's first swimming class in high school began. The sun was so bright that it almost looked like a mirage. When he was in elementary school in his hometown, there were swimming classes. At that time, Toru Watanabe knew how to swim, but it was just for fun. He could swim the breaststroke and paddle as he pleased. His only teacher didn't teach them anything. He was only responsible for sitting there and eating cold watermelon drinks while keeping an eye on their safety. He only started to swim after the Imperial Tea incident. It wasn't just swimming. Many things had changed since then. Now, he could swim like an athlete. Class 1 and Class 4 were still together, but the boys and girls were completely separated. They could only hear the girls' screams and laughter through the wall. After changing into their swimsuits, the boys gathered by the pool. The sky was very blue. It was beautiful, like an oil painting, but the sun made their skin hurt. The PE teacher had a whistle around his neck and was talking about the things to pay attention to in swimming. I want to go there. Osamu Kunai looked at the woman land across the wall and said, "Later, we'll sneak in and wear women's swimsuits." Toru Watanabe told him the plan. "I see." Osamu Kunai punched his fist. "The problem is, where do we get the Tsukumizu?" Keisuke Saito analyzed further. The topic ended. After the PE teacher finished talking, everyone went to the shower area to wash their bodies. The front walked while the back walked. It was like waiting in line to wash a car. The air was full of water vapor and the pungent smell of chlorine disinfectant. After the warm-up exercises, everyone went into the water. After the first half of the class, they could swim freely in the second half. The boys were 1 meter away from the pool. The PE teacher scolded them loudly. This time, they stopped their dangerous behavior. The third lane. Watanabe is swimming so fast. Koi didn't dare to fall behind. He used 3x Kaioken. He's overtaking. He's overtaking. Oh, look over there. That is Sato's 5x Kaioken. So fast. Too fast. What? I just received news that Watanabe is going to use his killer move, serious swimming. It was just the three of them who suddenly had the idea to compete, but this group of high school boys actually described it as the 99th Universe Martial Arts Conference. Right, 3x and 5x Kaioken. Toru Watanabe didn't know what they were, but the so-called serious swimming was just swimming with all his strength. Watanabe, why are you so powerful? First it was tennis, then it was swimming. If this continues, I won't even be your opponent in baseball in the future. Swimming like a dolphin. Too fast. Some of the boys even thought that Toru Watanabe would have no problem becoming a swimmer. Toru Watanabe did not want to be a swimmer. If he were to do whatever he was good at, he would probably die of exhaustion. Also, for the sake of the textbook editor, it was better not to stand out too much. Scholar, Olympic gold medalist in swimming, world-class oboe player, world-class boxer, he was only 16 years old. It was hard to imagine how many more titles he would have in the future. At night, in the activity classroom of the Human Observation Department, Rin Kiyono walked in with a record player with an iron triangle logo. The world was silent. It was so dark outside the window that nothing could be seen, but the glass clearly reflected people's faces. Apart from the music department on the 3rd floor, there was not a single extra light in the school building. Toru Watanabe felt a bit lonely. He thought about how he came to the metropolis alone, far away from his hometown in Iwate Prefecture. In order to dispel the sudden unhappiness, he retracted his gaze and looked curiously at Rin Kiyono playing with the record player. "Kiyono-san, can I ask you a question?" Rin Kiyono carefully took out the vinyl record from the square paper bag. Life obviously originated from the ocean, but humans can't breathe in the water. What do you think? I don't have any opinions, Qin Yiling replied without even raising his head. Don't you think it's strange? Why don't we humans evolve into amphibious animals like frogs, turtles, and red-chained snakes? The ocean is much more abundant than the continent in terms of area and resources. You can choose to become a biologist and then figure out these questions, instead of asking a girl in the same grade for answers at night and talking about such annoying topics like frogs and snakes. A biologist. I don't really want to do that. Toru Watanabe thought about it and rejected this suggestion. You say it like you'll definitely be able to do it. If I didn't play the oboe, I would already be one. Rin Kiyono's expression was serious. Watanabe-san, your mental illness is getting worse and worse. Now there's also a problem with your self-awareness. You really need to seek medical treatment right now. Tetsumasa Watanabe wanted to refute, but Rin Kiyono put the stylus on the slowly rotating record. The sound was bright and lively. A melody that was as lively and lively as a cat's step slowly sounded. The trombone roared, the horn ensemble played, the clarinet and bass drum roared, and the oboe solo played. The sound was continuous, like the water of the Yangtze River pouring into one's ears, and then the sound waves quickly receded like the ebbing tide. Toru Watanabe picked up the record and looked at the title of the song. 4 Seasons of Prosperity, Wind Music Version. Composer, Hidaichi Chuan. Performance, Elite Girls High School Wind Music Club. Rin Kiyono across from him leaned her left elbow on the table and held her chin, while her right hand held a pen and kept writing something. Toru Watanabe listened silently, his fingers tapping in the air along with the music score. The beautiful music, in the empty schoolroom with the lights on at night, brewed an intimate and harmonious atmosphere. Do you want to choose this song? After the music ended, Toru Watanabe asked. Yeah. Rin Kiyono nodded. In the wind music competition, each wind band had to play a theme song and a free song. 4 Seasons of Prosperity, Wind Music Version, was one of the free songs that could be chosen this year. This song was produced by the Wind Music Club, a first-rate composer, Hidaichi Chuan. A few years ago, this song was chosen as a free song by Elite Girls High School, and received a national award, immediately becoming famous. Now it was one of the regular songs of the competition. Speaking of this song's characteristics, it had to be mentioned that its composer was a graduate of Musashino University of Music, Hidaichi Chuan. When Hidaichi Chuan was young, he was active on the music stage as a professional oboe player, so his arrangement was biased towards the oboe. Exaggeratedly speaking, this song's bottom line depended on the whole band, and its top line depended on the oboe player's performance. A wise choice, Toru Watanabe said confidently. Rin Kiyono pretended not to hear Toru Watanabe's beautiful words that seemed to be praising himself. Toru Watanabe said again, but, you didn't discuss it with them and decided on your own, is it really okay? If you want society to progress, democratic voting is the stupidest choice. I understand. Toru Watanabe nodded in agreement. Ultraman's mission is to force stupid humans to evolve, isn't it? Rin Kiyono didn't understand what Toru Watanabe was talking about at all. She looked at Toru Watanabe as if she was looking at an idiot. Toru Watanabe didn't blush at all and changed the topic. So, it's because you don't want to fail, so you decided to choose your own song? That's not the only reason. Aha. Toru Watanabe didn't deny it. Rin Kiyono saw his attitude and felt inexplicably angry, and wanted to punch him. She explained, their musical knowledge is uneven, and they will only choose based on whether their parts are good or not, as well as the popularity of the song. The song of the competition will affect the survival of the Human Observation Department, and I will do my best to eliminate all the options that will lead to useless parts. Is that so? Toru Watanabe still didn't believe her. This man, he knows that I won't lie. Rin Kiyono took a deep breath. There's another reason. The biggest advantage of the blowing department is your oboe, and this is also the biggest reason why I decided to choose my own song. With how much the blowing department hated Toru Watanabe, they probably wouldn't choose this song that relied on the oboe. Toru Watanabe covered his head with his hands, leaned back on the steel chair, looked at the ceiling, and sighed in satisfaction. Rin Kiyono held back and didn't throw the eraser at him. At 9 o'clock, Rin Kiyono directly expressed her opinion in the music classroom. The theme song for this competition is March for Endless Dreams, and the free song is Prosperous 4 Seasons, blown version. These 2 songs. Misaki Komatsu, the head of the blowing department, wanted to say something, but stopped. The members who hadn't heard of these two songs looked at her curiously. "What's wrong, head? Is it difficult?" "Yes." Misaki Komatsu nodded. March for Endless Dreams is full of story, and it focuses on musical performance. Prosperous Four Seasons requires a very, very high level of performance and performance skills. But what? Everyone couldn't wait to ask. Misaki Komatsu looked at Rin Kiyono, hesitating whether she should say it or not. Toru Watanabe took over the topic. "Starting from the middle section, you can take a break. With your current level, you'll be able to set off my superb skills, so just wait for the prize." "What do you mean?" A member who hadn't realized what was going on asked. For the first song, the solo part is the bass horn, trombone, and oboe. Prosperous Four Seasons. This song is a bit special, and a large part of it is the oboe's free play. Kaoru Hayami, who also knew these two songs, explained. Everyone realized what was going on, and began to talk about it. Most of them had unwillingness on their faces. Rin Kiyono looked at everyone. Whether it's the selection of people or the selection of songs, everything is done with the goal of entering the country. If anyone thinks that there's a better choice, you can raise it now. Yoshimi Tamamo said loudly, "Since it all depends on the oboe's performance, can't we just practice a little?" She was obviously angry. The solo is a bonus, but the real good or bad still depends on everyone's performance, Rin Kiyono replied. Someone else asked, "Then why do we have to let him play the solo? Can't we choose a bassoon solo or a trumpet solo?" Mayasahi was good at playing, but the bass horn wasn't a very outstanding instrument, so no one said that they would choose a bass horn solo. "You should know the reason very well," Toru Watanabe said. "What?" "Because my playing skills are indisputably the best in the history of the blowing section." His matter-of-fact tone made many people's faces turn red. Whether or not he's the best in history is not clear. Rin Kiyono looked at the arrogant Toru Watanabe. "But he is indeed the best player in the blowing section." "I don't accept it. Morning Sea Senpai and Tomorrow Senpai are definitely better than him." "That's right, it's too unfair. Since the members of Group A are selected, then the soloists should also be selected." Without waiting for Rin Kiyono to speak, Toru Watanabe stood up and walked to the podium with his oboe. "If you want to challenge me, then come. I, Toru Watanabe, will let you guys, who are worse than trash, know the difference between geniuses and mortals." "Ah, cool, I can finally do what a protagonist should do." He, Toru Watanabe, never wanted to take a girl's underwear and stockings. What he wanted was to work hard, struggle, be hot-blooded, and be number one. Of course, this was his life before the age of 25. Under the dazzling white light of the music room, Toru Watanabe looked at everyone expectantly. Everyone's face turned red, and they looked at Mayasahi. Mayasahi also seemed very angry. Her expressionless face was tinged with a faint red, and she was staring at the arrogant Toru Watanabe on the podium. But, wasn't she looking at him for too long? Why didn't she go up? That's right, Mayasahi didn't care about this, as long as she could play. After thinking it through, everyone turned to look at Kaoru Hayami. Kaoru Hayami helplessly smiled bitterly and looked at Rin Kiyono. Seeing her nod, he stood up and walked forward with a hookah-shaped bassoon. "Watanabe classmate, please let me see your strength." Seeing Kaoru Hayami's gentle smile as always, Toru Watanabe lost his fighting spirit. This good-natured senior was forced by everyone to come up. What he needed was an enemy who looked down on him and even wanted to use underhanded means. He, Toru Watanabe, wasn't a bad person, and he didn't have the habit of using his strength to provoke people. However, in order to attract hatred, motivate everyone to practice, and obediently listen to Rin Kiyono's guidance, and ensure that the band entered the national competition, he needed to continue being the bad guy. "Then you go first." "Good morning, senior," Toru Watanabe said. He was worried that if he played first, she would be under a lot of pressure. "Thank you." After Kaoru Hayami finished speaking, the delicate and gentle bassoon notes filled the entire music room. Whether it was the high notes or the difficult notes, everything was perfect. There wasn't a single flaw to be found. The timbre was bright and made everyone's hearts beat faster. Everyone closed their eyes, intoxicated by the music. Kaoru Hayami's level was much higher than before. Toru Watanabe could tell from her performance that she had put in a lot of hard work. After the performance, there was a warm round of applause. Kaoru Hayami smiled and nodded. He was very satisfied with his performance. Watanabe classmate, it's your turn. Okay. The smooth melody was so smooth that it was almost impossible to feel the changes in the notes. Every note had a lingering charm that made people feel hot all over. After Toru Watanabe finished his performance, the entire music room was silent. Only Masahi was there, clapping indifferently and seemingly perfunctorily. Everyone who came back to their senses looked at her with admiration. As expected of a senior, such a pure musical heart. The ashamed crowd also applauded. Miki Kujo is already back. Senior, if you continue like this junior will really die. Toru Watanabe looked at Masahi's swollen breasts and guessed what she was thinking. Hayami classmate, I've decided to let Watanabe classmate play the solo piece. What do you think? Rin Kiyono asked. I don't have any objections. Watanabe classmate plays better than me. He's also a member of the blowing club. There's no problem with him playing the solo. Kaoru Hayami said with a smile. He wasn't disappointed at all. Rin Kiyono nodded and ordered everyone, come here and get the sound file of the piece. Save it in the player and listen to it every day. You must memorize the score. Don't let the judges write, what are the others here for except for the oboe? Yes. At 11:30, on the way back. Senior tomorrow seems to be angry. Rin Kiyono said. Is she? Toru Watanabe was puzzled. It's the first time I've seen her angry. You're really too arrogant. It's all for you. Lies. Rin Kiyono denied without hesitation, and then said, Do you want to talk to her alone? With tomorrow's personality, she'll help us keep it a secret. No. Toru Watanabe refused without thinking. Alone? He was still worried about how to avoid being caught alone by her. How could he send himself to her door? What's the reason? Rin Kiyono, as always, would ask for others' opinions. I can't talk to people who aren't interested in playing cards. Chapter 90. In the blink of an eye, it was Friday. Because of the physical examination, the hallway was full of students in sportswear. The time of the physical examination was free. The class leader gave out a form for everyone to go to the physical examination location and fill in the form. Because there was plenty of time, many people were doing things that had nothing to do with the physical examination. Toru Watanabe and the other two walked along the hallway and saw a group of girls sitting in a group chatting. There were also groups of boys who were kicking each other's butts. There were also a lot of boys and girls who were using the excuse of sharing information about the physical examination to enjoy their youth. Hey Joe-kun, let me see your eyesight and height. No. Unless you also let me see Yame-chan. You actually want to exchange the physical examination form with a girl, H. But, you can, Yame-chan, today is Chinese Valentine's Day, damn it. Osamu Kanai cursed in a low voice, sooner or later I'll burn you guys to death. I also want to exchange the physical examination form with a girl. Keisuke Saito looked envious. Osamu Kanai said with disdain, You just want to know a girl's measurements, right? That's you. It's you. Stop arguing, I have a way. Toru Watanabe made a gesture of pushing up his glasses. So it's you, no, it's really you, Watanabe. Tell me. Toru Watanabe smiled, and the girl who was walking towards him accidentally bumped into her friend's back. As a prestigious private school, Kanagawa High School attached great importance to the annual physical examination, especially the internal medicine examination, which was almost equivalent to a formal physical examination. When Toru Watanabe learned from Aona Koizumi that the annual internal medicine examination was carried out by the medical team sent by the affiliated hospital of Shun Tien University, he knew that the school was finished. He sincerely hoped that no one would provoke Miki Kujo. Otherwise, during the physical examination, they would suddenly be told that they had a heart attack, and then be sent to the hospital without knowing what was going on, and die of a heart attack one day. However, Miki Kujo was relatively restrained in school, and the students and teachers knew that she was powerful, so they wouldn't provoke her, so they should be safe. The only one who was in danger of having a heart attack was her boyfriend, Toru Watanabe. He had digressed back to how he knew the 3 measurements of the girls. Because there were professional doctors using professional medical equipment to conduct examinations, the original school doctor, Miyazaki Miyuki, was assigned the task of testing one's eyesight, which anyone could do. The visual acuity test was held in a classroom on the 3rd floor. The students covered one eye and pointed in the direction of the letters with their fingers. After measuring his vision, Toru Watanabe walked over. Miyazaki-sensei. Young man, you have good eyesight. Miyazaki Miyuki returned the form to Toru Watanabe. Thank you, teacher. By the way, Toru Watanabe suddenly remembered something and said, Teacher, my physical examination is over. Let me help you fill in the form. You just need to be responsible for the test. Miyazaki Miyuki thought about it. This would indeed be much more efficient. I'll have to trouble you then, young man. It's no trouble. Good young man, I'll help you put in a good word in front of Seinai. Then I'll have to trouble you. Toru Watanabe walked to the door of the classroom and shouted to the scattered students. Everyone, please line up and give me the physical examination form. I'll take the test according to the order. Seeing Toru Watanabe nonchalantly taking away the girls' physical examination forms, Osamu Kanai and Keisuke Saito secretly gave him a thumbs up. The top secret information was in his hands, but Toru Watanabe didn't immediately look at it. He didn't know what the 3 measurements meant at all. How big were they? But he would know soon enough. Toru Watanabe seemed like he really wanted to help Miyazaki Miyuki. Except when filling in the visual acuity number, he didn't look at the physical examination form. He looked like a gentleman. But as everyone knew, Toru Watanabe's memory was already very good. Now that he had the encyclopedic knowledge, he could memorize pi to 10 decimal places with just a glance. The 3 measurements were at most 7 digits. It was very simple. After helping Keisuke Saito cheat, secretly pointing in the right direction, to get 2-2. 0 vision, he tested 2 more boys. Finally, it was the girl's turn to take the physical examination form. It was a second-year girl named Masako Yuto. When the other party took the visual acuity test, Toru Watanabe carefully looked at her, and then when filling in the numbers, he remembered the 3 measurements. Chest 81 centimeters, waist 55 centimeters, hip 83 cm, 81 is big, a 55 waist is very thin, and a 83 hip is very perky, a good figure. The next one was named Takahashi Tashi. Bust size 73, waist size 65, hip size 84 foot, small chest and thick waist. Student, I can recommend you the best skinny waist tutorial. It only takes 5 minutes a day, and you can have a vest line in a month. The next one, Yoshimi Tamamo. Chest 85, waist 55, hip 84 foot huge. Toru Watanabe reminded himself that he must have a literary eye, the integrity of a judge. Yes, a perky front and perky back, a slender waist, just like her name, so beautiful, so beautiful. When taking away the physical examination form, Yoshimi Tamamo stared at Toru Watanabe with her almond-shaped eyes. It was not that she found out about his behavior, it was just a habit she had recently developed. The next one. After everyone finished the physical examination, Toru Watanabe had just walked out of the classroom when Osamu Kanai and Keisuke Saito hooked their arms around his neck. How was it? Is there any important information? Who do you want to know? Toru Watanabe said calmly. I want to know Miyazaki Miyuki's. Idiot, Keisuke Saito scolded Osamu Kanai. Teacher doesn't do physical examinations. where would she get the physical examination form? That's true. Not necessarily. Toru Watanabe smiled and denied. You know, after a large amount of data, I can now deduce everyone's 3 measurements. You can do that? As expected of you, Master Watanabe. Osamu Kanai's eyes shone. Then hurry up and tell us. Keisuke Saito urged. Toru Watanabe closed his eyes, his brain quickly building a data model called Miyazaki Miyuki's body, and a ruler continuously measured all kinds of data. According to my close observation, teacher's height is around 163 centimeters, and her legs are 67 centimeters long, which accounts for 41% of her height. The ratio is perfect. We want her 3 measurements. Shallow the legs are. Forget it. The width of the physical examination form is 29.7 centimeters, so I can calculate that teacher's waist is around 17 centimeters wide, and her chest is around 33 centimeters wide. Then, according to my long-term observation, the side waist is 13 centimeters wide, the hip is 23 centimeters wide, no, 22 centimeters wide, the side chest is... Osamu Kanai and Keisuke Saito did not even understand what Toru Watanabe was saying, let alone follow his train of thought. Based on these data, we can build a cross-section model, and use the arc radius calculation formula to calculate all the data we want. I really want only one. Toru Watanabe opened his eyes, lowered his head slightly, and there was a cold glint in the corner of his eyes. Miyazaki-sensei's 3 measurements are 91. 59. 8. Toru Watanabe's voice stopped abruptly. Young man, what are you doing? Miyazaki Miyuki, who had appeared behind him, said. We're discussing a math problem. A math problem? Why did I hear you talking about your 3 measurements? No. Are you or are you not? Miyazaki Miyuki lowered her voice, her words full of pressure. It's the 3 measurements, but it's a math problem about the 3 measurements. Young man, your future is bleak. Why are you using your smart brain to do such erotic things? I'll tell Aonai about this. And the 2 of you. It has nothing to do with us. It's Watanabe's. That's right. We stopped it. It's all his idea. He's also the one who implemented it. One of the 6 sentences was a lie. How did you stop it? Can't you be an honest person? Toru Watanabe was so angry that his teeth hurt. Could there be more people like Rin Kiyono in this world? I see. Miyazaki Miyuki nodded and said, the 2 of you, if you don't want me to tell Aonai about this, you're not allowed to discuss this in the future. Next week, there'll be a meeting between the 3 parties. Do you understand? Understood, understood. When the 2 of them imagined the scene of their parents being informed, their faces turned pale. We have to tell our parents. Toru Watanabe was dizzy. It's up to Aonai to tell our parents. I see, that's good. He breathed a sigh of relief. Although Aona Koizumi would definitely lecture her, she probably wouldn't tell her parents. Also, Miyazaki Miyuki grinned. I'll tell your girlfriend about this. Miyazaki-sensei. Toru Watanabe made a clean 90-degree bow. This is a once-in-a-lifetime request. Please let me go this time. No. Miyazaki Miyuki rejected without thinking. This is to make you a loyal Tokyo handsome guy, young man. As she turned to leave, she muttered softly, Who told you to tell others about my measurements? Toru Watanabe's world turned dark, and the world lost its color. Watanabe? Watanabe? Are you okay? Send him to the infirmary. I'm fine. Toru Watanabe pushed the 2 of them away and took out his phone. Miki. What's the matter? I was wrong. We'll talk tonight. Miki Kujo's voice was emotionless. She didn't ask anything and just hung up. Toru Watanabe felt that his life might be coming to an end. I hate breasts. Damn breasts. There was a class meeting after the physical examination, and then school was dismissed. Aona Koizumi walked into the classroom with her lesson plan, but before she reached the podium, she said, Watanabe, stand at the back. Yes. Toru Watanabe stood up weakly and walked to the back of the classroom. Osamu Kunai and Keisuke Saito looked at Toru Watanabe sympathetically. The other students in the class looked over curiously. Aona Koizumi liked Toru Watanabe the most. What was going on? Aona Koizumi didn't explain, and directly said, "The class meeting will now begin. There will be a three-way meeting next week. Remember to tell your parents when you go back." After 2 minutes, she looked up and saw Toru Watanabe's dejected face, and couldn't help but soften. "Go back to your seat." "Thank you, teacher. Be careful when you go out this weekend, the final exam is coming soon, and you can't relax." After school, Aona Koizumi called Toru Watanabe to her office. Miyazaki Miyuki was sitting in Aona Koizumi's seat, chatting with Huang Zi while eating snacks. Seeing Aona Koizumi come in, Huang Zi said, "Aonai, are you done?" "Almost done." They seemed to be going somewhere to play. When they saw Toru Watanabe walk into the office, the two women laughed at the same time. "Watanabe, I heard that you peeked at the measurements of all the girls in the school, and even used them as a database to estimate the size of all the girls' breasts." Huang Zi held a potato chip in her hand and teased. "Huang Zi!" Aona Koizumi helplessly shouted. "It's nothing, it's just a portion of the girls, and it's just a guess, I'm just saying," Toru Watanabe said awkwardly. Miyazaki Miyuki didn't mind blowing things up, and said with a smile, "Young man, don't be humble, you guessed all my measurements correctly." "What a wild guess. Come and try." Huang Zi clasped her hands and said, "I'll give you 1 minute to calculate our Aonai's measurements." Toru Watanabe subconsciously glanced at Aona Koizumi's chest. Why would he need a minute? Chest circumference 84, waist circumference. Aona Koizumi hit his head with the lesson plan. "Where are you looking? You want to stand as punishment?" This is a student's instinct to answer a teacher's question. "Teacher, please believe me, only to you, I." Instinct. Aona Koizumi hit him again in annoyance. Miyazaki Miyuki and Huang Zi laughed, and accidentally crushed the chips in their hands. Aona Koizumi saw that although Toru Watanabe was talking nonsense as usual, his expression was always gloomy, and comforted him, "Don't worry, Watanabe, I won't tell your parents about this." "Thank you, teacher." Toru Watanabe nodded and said. Aona Koizumi saw that he didn't relax, and asked with concern, "What's wrong? Are you in a bad mood?" "It's nothing." Toru Watanabe forced a smile. Would he have to follow the car on Shinjuku Avenue again tonight? Or would he have to do radio exercises naked? Or would he be asked to fight with Shizuru? "I hope she's fine," Toru Watanabe prayed in his heart without any hope. "Are you worried that I'll tell your girlfriend, young man?" Toru Watanabe didn't say anything. "Don't worry, I'm just scaring you." Miyazaki Miyuki crunched the chips. "Scaring me? Really?" "Of course, I don't know your girlfriend." Miyazaki Miyuki licked her fingers. As expected of a healthcare teacher, her actions were very professional and very erotic. The jade-like succulent on Aona Koizumi's desk was freshly watered, plump and cute. The cold air from the air conditioner in the corner messed up the textbooks. Outside the window, under the 4 o'clock sun, cicadas chirped incessantly. Toru Watanabe's world suddenly came alive. "Thank you, teacher. I'll never do such a thing again." Miyazaki Miyuki waved her hand, and took a chip from Huang Zi. "From this incident, I can understand why Aonai likes you, you're a very smart young man." "You're too kind, I'm just using other people's rest time to summarize and think. Thinking about math questions about your measurements." Huang Zi teased. "It doesn't have to be about my measurements." Toru Watanabe straightened his back. "I like all kinds of math questions. My goal is to get first place in science in this final exam." "I suddenly feel that smart people are scary." Huang Zi shrugged. "Me too." Miyazaki Miyuki nodded in agreement. Aona Koizumi looked at her two friends with dissatisfaction, and said to Toru Watanabe, "It's fine if you like math questions, but the exam won't ask you to calculate the size of a girl's breasts, so you don't have to do math questions about this in the future." Teacher, I'm not interested in breasts, I'm really just studying math questions. Oh, young man, what school are you from? If I must say, legs. Aonai's legs are amazing. Huang Zi reached out to touch Aona Koizumi's legs like a fool, but she pushed his hand away. You too. No, there are 3 of you, what do you want? Watanabe, hurry up and join the club activities. Yes. Toru Watanabe walked out of the classroom office with light steps. Then, he met Miki Kujo at the corner. She was wearing her school uniform today, a short-sleeved white shirt, a butterfly tie, a pleated skirt, and black pantyhose that wrapped around her legs. Miki Kujo's body proportions were very good, slim but not bony, white and tender legs long and thin, and her waist so thin that it seemed like it could be held in one hand. She crossed her arms in front of her chest and smiled as she waited for Toru Watanabe to walk over. Miki, you came to school today? To pick you up. Miki Kujo looked at Toru Watanabe. Your tie is crooked. The boy's school uniform was a white short-sleeved shirt, a white, gray, and black tie, and a navy blue shirt. Miki Kujo reached out and took Toru Watanabe's tie, and hung it around her slender neck. Then, she helped him straighten the collar of his shirt, and then helped him put on his tie again. People came and went in the corridor, and everyone looked at this scene that was like a scene from a cartoon. The boys looked at Toru Watanabe enviously, wishing that they could replace him. The girls were envious of Miki Kujo, but they also looked greedily at Toru Watanabe's slightly raised face, which was warmed by the sun. Miki, I can do this myself. Toru Watanabe ignored the outside world, and only looked at Miki Kujo's eyes. You're my boyfriend, it's my responsibility to help you put on your tie, and it's also my right. Miki, I love you. Good boy, I love you too. Then, can you loosen my tie a little? Toru Watanabe's tongue was about to stick out. That depends on your answer. Tell me, what did you do to let me down? Miki Kujo, who was 10 centimeters shorter than Toru Watanabe, leaned into Toru Watanabe's arms to keep his tie tight. Their chests were against each other. Ah, it's just like a shoujo manga. I want to lean into Kuin Watanabe's arms too. Toru Watanabe's brain started to lack oxygen, and he had to think hard, but all that popped up in his head were formulas to calculate her 3 measurements. 3 measurements. Yoshimi Tamamo. Miyuki Miyazaki. Tonita's tongue. My tongue. Masakazako. Got it. He put his hand on Miki Kujo's waist, and said apologetically, It's Chinese Valentine's Day today, I forgot to prepare a present. Miki Kujo's voice rose and fell, making one's heart itch. Is it because of this? I'm a terrible person who doesn't prepare a present for my girlfriend on Chinese Valentine's Day. Miki Kujo helped Tetsumesa Watanabe adjust his tie to the most beautiful position, and then let go of his hand. How should I punish you? Anything is fine. Toru Watanabe's hand slowly slid up the curve of her slender back. When he touched her underwear, Miki Kujo looked over. Toru Watanabe smiled awkwardly, and took the opportunity to withdraw his hand and put some distance between them. At this time, Miki Kujo's followers walked over. Kujo-san, you're back. That's great. It's been a while, Momoyo, Yuki, Saiko. Miki Kujo nodded at the 3. Thank you for your hard work, Kujo-san. Kujo-san, I think you and Watanabe-san are very compatible. Please invite me to your wedding. Me too, me too. Wedding. Before Toru Watanabe could complain in his heart, Miki Kujo looked over with a smile. Watanabe, what do you think? Please. Of course, please. Thank you, Watanabe-san. You're welcome. Toru Watanabe smiled at the 3. Looking at the 3's infatuated expressions, Miki Kujo unceremoniously reached out to Toru Watanabe's waist and twisted it. I said come over, I hate it when you smile. I haven't seen you in a long time, I'm happy. Toru Watanabe couldn't help but raise his eyebrows in pain. Sweet words. Miki Kujo sneered and tightened her grip. Hiss. Chapter 91. When did the Chinese Valentine's Day spread to Japan? Since when did Japan stop celebrating Chinese Valentine's Day and start celebrating Chinese Valentine's Day on the 7th day of the 7th lunar month? Would the cowherd and the weaver girl reunite twice because of this? Probably not. How could there be such a good thing? The first year of the Gregorian calendar started from the birth of Jesus. To the Queen Mother, it was like the birth of a child next door. It had nothing to do with her own family. Sigh. It doesn't matter what happens to the cowherd and the weaver girl. Toru Watanabe was more worried about how he was going to spend the Chinese Valentine's Day. He rubbed his aching waist and followed Miki Kujo to the activity room of the Human Observation Department. The activity room had not changed at all, including the girl sitting by the window reading. The sun was shining brightly, and the cicadas were chirping incessantly. Qingyi Rin was reading a book. This was a scene that he could still remember clearly even after many years. Toru Watanabe looked at the book in her hand. It was a red cover exercise book. If it wasn't for the fact that he had a lot of information on her, he would have laughed out loud. It seemed that Rin Kiyono also felt threatened and started to work hard to maintain her first place in the school. Toru Watanabe looked at Miki Kujo's slim back. If it wasn't for the fact that he couldn't get his hands on a tank and a driver, he would have asked her if she had also started to study. Miki Kujo also noticed that Rin Kiyono was reading a book. However, she was not as polite as Toru Watanabe and laughed out loud. "Kiyono, are you afraid?" Miki Kujo mocked. "What's wrong with studying as a student?" Rin Kiyono's eyes were still on the red cover book. "Are you afraid that I will only spend half of your time in school and still get first place in the final exam? You are so narcissistic." "She is obviously afraid of me," Toru Watanabe thought to himself. Rin Kiyono denied her words. "Let's talk about it after you get first place." Rin Kiyono's answer didn't satisfy Toru Watanabe. Miki Kujo didn't want to talk about this boring topic. She changed the topic and said, "Your mother asked me to pick you up. Let's go." Rin Kiyono continued to scroll down. "I still have club activities, so I'll go there later." "Up to you." Miki Kujo was also dealing with an errand. She turned around and prepared to leave. "Do I have to go too?" Toru Watanabe asked her. "Of course." Miki Kujo turned her head slightly, as if she could see through his body. "You want to stay with her? Or do you want to stay in a music classroom full of women? What are you talking about?" Toru Watanabe grumbled and opened the door for her. "I just want to know if I want to go or not. Why are you jealous?" "Really? You'd better behave yourself." "Miki, have you seen The Great Gatsby?" There's a sentence in it, "Everyone thinks they have at least one basic virtue, and I'm honest. My love for you is deeper than the Thousand Islands Trench." I remember that the Thousand Islands Trench is the second deepest trench in Japan, right? Who's the first? Don't pull my tie. I'm suffocating. Listen to me, the first is my parents. Change it for me. From now on, I'm the first. You need time to accumulate. No problem. Not to mention Japan's #1 trench, even the world's #1 Mariana Trench is not a problem. If it weren't for the fact that she didn't like to shout, Rin Kiyono would definitely shut up Toru Watanabe, who disappeared in the corridor. Forget it. Next time, let's not talk about trenches. Let's change it to mountains. Although Toru Watanabe was full of lies, his ability to apply what he had learned could not be underestimated. She took out her phone and began to search for the height ranking of mountains in Japan. Of course, she remembered the first to third highest mountains, but she planned to start from the 10th. After checking the information and memorizing the name and height, she subconsciously looked out of the window to relax her tired eyes. She happened to see Toru Watanabe and Miki Kujo walking on the school's main road. Both of them were tall and slender. One of them was fair and beautiful, the other was handsome. They looked very compatible. When they disappeared into the green leaves of the tall oak tree, Rin Kiyono retracted her gaze. It was still the same luxurious car. Toru Watanabe sat in his usual seat. Miki Kujo was facing him. Her hand was on the door handle and her leg was crossed. She had the aura of a rich lady overlooking a commoner. Her waist was very thin, but at the same time, her chest was swollen. Her legs were slender and round. It made Chen Fan want to put his arm around her waist and press her chest against his chest. Then he would caress her legs with his hand. However, so far, no one had ever done such a thing. Even Toru Watanabe, who was the most promising candidate, had to work harder. I'm so looking forward to it. But then again, many politicians, entrepreneurs, and writers are frequent visitors to the red light district. Even physicists such as Einstein and Schrödinger have had sex scandals. From this, it can be seen that liking beautiful women does not affect one's achievements. Maybe beauty and wealth are the biggest motivators for a man to work hard. Toru Watanabe slowly raised his head. The 9 beauties noticed his line of sight and deliberately crossed their legs to tease him. Their lips curled into an ambiguous and disdainful smile. Her seductive look made Toru Watanabe come to his senses. Toru Watanabe, oh, Toru Watanabe, can't you be more mature? She is Miki Kujo, and you are the man who will stand at the top of the world. To calm down, Toru Watanabe looked at the robot, Still Flow, who was sitting furthest away from him. Looking away from Miki Kujo, who had 9 points of charm, Toru Watanabe finally calmed down. It was not that Still Flow was ugly, but she was not beautiful enough to make him lose his mind. Long time no see, Miss Still Flow. He greeted her softly. Still Flow did not move, as if she did not hear him. Therefore, Toru Watanabe could only look out of the window and enjoy the scenery along the way. Along the way, he saw someone driving a go-kart on the street with balloons tied to it. Toru Watanabe instinctively looked out the window. What are you looking at? Miki Kujo narrowed her eyes. Go-kart. When the team of go-kart cars gradually disappeared, Toru Watanabe sat up straight again. At this time, Miki Kujo's expression was extremely terrifying, as if she wanted to eat him. What's wrong with you? Toru Watanabe was shocked, and subconsciously thought that she would ask Still Flow to throw him out of the car again. How dare you, I am right in front of you, and you dare to look at other things. It's a go-kart. The drivers are all men in their 30s. Can't I do that? No. This is too much, isn't it? Looks like you didn't remember the rule of 90 Kujo that I told you. As long as I am here, you can only look at me, understand? Yes, I understand. Toru Watanabe pretended to be in a difficult position. Miki, you may not know, but 16-year-old boys are very impulsive. You are so charming, I am afraid that I can't control myself and do something too much. Something too much. Miki Kujo took off her right shoe, put it on Toru Watanabe's stomach, and slowly slid it down. Is it like this? Looking at her smiling face, Toru Watanabe was about to cry. Who knew if she would suddenly step on it? Toru Watanabe's expression, and the hard touch through his stockings, made Miki Kujo's smile deepen. Don't do this. Toru Watanabe grabbed her ankle, not letting her move. His body was very healthy after exercise, and he couldn't resist temptation, and he was at the age where his mind was filled with women. Let go. Miki Kujo ordered. Toru Watanabe was speechless, and could only look at Still Flow awkwardly, hoping that Miki Kujo would give up. Shy. Miki Kujo chuckled, but she didn't intend to let him go. Still Flow. Yes. Receiving the order, Still Flow immediately turned her back, standing there like a wall. Miki Kujo lifted her chin slightly, signaling Toru Watanabe to let go of her ankle. The car arrived at Kujo's mother's spacious house. The two first went to take a shower and change clothes, and this time Toru Watanabe was not taken to Miki Kujo's room, but to a guest room. Still in a kimono. After Toru Watanabe changed, he didn't want to go to the living room. Facing a group of rich ladies who were the same age as his mother was not a good thing. He didn't know if he could visit other places, so he slipped into Miki Kujo's room. He was taken advantage of in the car just now, and now was the time for revenge. In addition to Still Flow, there were 6 middle-aged women in kimonos at the door, just like in a drama. Still Flow reached out to stop Toru Watanabe. "Miss is taking a shower and changing clothes. No one can go in." "I'm not anyone." With that, Toru Watanabe took a step forward. Silent Stream immediately used a rib strike with the wind. "Miss Still Flow, you're no match for me." Toru Watanabe easily restrained her left hand. Still Flow took out a pistol and aimed at him. Although it was a bit unexpected, Toru Watanabe was not afraid of a pistol at such a close distance. When he was about to fight back, a middle-aged woman in kimono who looked like the leader said, "Young Master Watanabe, I'm very sorry, it's not that we don't want you to go in, but Miss doesn't like other people looking at her body." "Not even me." The middle-aged woman didn't answer. "Fine. You see, Miss Still Flow, why didn't you explain earlier? Why did you have to use force?" Toru Watanabe acted as if Shizuru was in the wrong. He let go of Shizuru's hand and obediently took a few steps back. "What's the noise outside?" Miki Kujo's slightly angry voice came from the room. "Miss, young Master Watanabe is here." A sneer came from inside. "Let him in." The servant and Still Flow were all stunned, and their movements paused. Toru Watanabe didn't want to go in, he wanted to take them by surprise, but now Miki Kujo must have figured out how to deal with him. Only a fool would go in. "It's okay, I'll wait for you outside." Toru Watanabe shouted. "Get in." The servant opened the door halfway, and Toru Watanabe was very embarrassed. Breaking in by himself and being ordered by a woman was the difference between having dignity and not having dignity. But a real man knew when to yield and when to stand tall. Which person who really wanted to achieve great things didn't suffer a little? Toru Watanabe stepped in. Hearing the sound outside the door, it meant that Miki Kujo had taken a bath, and now she was wearing a kimono in front of a mirror as big as a door. It wasn't the bright and noble red that stunned Toru Watanabe last time, but a light purple kimono decorated with Kujo vines and goldfish, very summery. "What are you doing there? Come here." Toru Watanabe walked over. She had already put on her undershirt, and there was nothing he could take advantage of. Miki Kujo handed him a belt. "Put it on for me." "How can I?" "Start learning now. When we get married in the future, all my clothes will be put on by you." Miki Kujo said matter-of-factly. "At least you can wear your own clothes, right? Why don't you ask them to come in and help you?" Miki Kujo stretched out her hand, gesturing for Toru Watanabe to return the belt to her. Toru Watanabe immediately put the belt in her little hand. "I'll teach you how to wrap it." "Ah." "No need, I don't want to learn." Miki Kujo wrapped the belt with the fragrance around Toru Watanabe's neck, once, twice. "Wait. I had a flash of inspiration just now, I think I can do it." Miki Kujo smiled with an "I can't teach you a lesson" smile. She let go of the belt, turned her back to Toru Watanabe, and opened her arms. "Come." "Which side is outside?" "The pattern." "How long is it?" "My left hand is short, almost touching the tatami." "Oh, and then?" After repeating the process countless times, Toru Watanabe was almost sweating profusely before he finally managed to wrap the belt in a way that wasn't too ugly. As for the bow that symbolized an unmarried girl, he really couldn't do anything about it. Miki Kujo finished tying the bow for herself, sat in front of the dressing table, and tied up her hair in front of the small mirror. Toru Watanabe looked at her from left to right in boredom, and gradually his attention was attracted by the snow-white nape of her neck. "What are you looking at?" Miki Kujo looked at him in the mirror and asked. "I'm learning how to wrap my hair." Miki Kujo laughed contemptuously. Toru Watanabe was full of energy, which was a good thing for her. But because of this, she needed to watch him carefully, in case she wanted to kill him. Toru Watanabe reflected deeply on himself, remembered history, and would never give up on revenge. Miki Kujo tied up her hair and said to the door, "Come in." The servant outside walked in quietly and started to pack up the clothes that Miki Kujo changed out of after the shower. Miki Kujo stood up and looked at herself in the mirror. After confirming that there were no major problems, she walked out of the door. Wait a moment. Toru Watanabe picked up the comb on the dressing table and combed his hair that was messed up because of fighting with Shizuru and bending down to fix the belt. Pinching his bangs, he looked at Miki Kujo and said, "Am I handsome?" "Yes, yes," Miki Kujo said perfunctorily. "Will your mother hate my hairstyle?" Miki Kujo narrowed her eyes. "So you like mature women like my mother?" "Wait, you're too strange. Because she's your mother, I care what she thinks." "No need. You can do whatever I like, understand? Other women's opinions don't matter, including mine and yours." "Miki, you have the final say." Miki Kujo rubbed Toru Watanabe's hair and made it messy again. But because he was very handsome, it looked like a styling. "Miss, what should we do with the comb?" A servant in charge of cleaning up the dressing table asked. Kujo glanced at the comb that Toru Watanabe used and said, "Leave it there." "Yes." Toru Watanabe said, "Miki, if you're obsessed with cleanliness, just throw it away. Don't worry about me." "You mean, you want me to cut off my legs and waist?" Miki Kujo showed a horrified expression. "Do you want to die?" "No way." "Miki, you're too weird." "You don't like me?" "Shizuru, take him." "No. Wait. What I mean is..." Looking at Toru Watanabe's panicked expression, Miki Kujo showed a contemptuous smile. "I'll remember this. Let's go." Toru Watanabe wiped the non-existent sweat on his head. "Why did I come to Miki Kujo's room? Is this the curse that even a wise man is bound to make a mistake?" Chapter 92. Is there another tea party today? Toru Watanabe asked Miki Kujo on the way to the reception room. It was clearly the corridor outside the house, but at this moment, where the sun dyed the sky red and shone directly, there was no heat at all. Toru Watanabe wondered if there was an air conditioner hidden in the corner. The design of rich people was unimaginable. "My mother values traditional festivals very much. Or rather, she likes to invite people to gatherings." Miki Kujo looked straight ahead. She walked quietly, but there was an unstoppable force. She looked like the general's wife at the beginning of a historical drama. It was obvious that she was not a female villain to be trifled with. "Not bad." Toru Watanabe agreed. "I hate Valentine's Day, Halloween, and Christmas the most. They're all tools for capitalists to cheat money." Miki Kujo glanced at him. "I'm also a capitalist." "No, Miki, you're a noble." Toru Watanabe would rather be associated with feudalism than with capitalists. "Smooth talker." Miki Kujo gently pinched Toru Watanabe's waist. When they arrived at the main hall, which was so big that they did not know where to sit, Mother Josho and a few other ladies were looking at a pot of bamboo with lush green leaves in the middle of the hall. Rin Kiyono's mother was among them. Miki Kujo told her about inviting Rin Kiyono. "That child is as stubborn as ever." Kiyono's mother reprimanded helplessly and didn't say anything else. Kujo's mother noticed Miki Kujo's unsightly belt. "Why did you come out dressed like that? Watanabe's technique is bad." Miki Kujo smiled and pushed the blame to Toru Watanabe, who was staring at the bamboo. Toru Watanabe was speechless. Kiyono's mother laughed like a young girl and said to Kujo's mother in a gossipy manner, "Miki has already decided on her future husband." Kujo's mother released the long bamboo leaf in her hand and the bamboo branch bounced back. She smiled and said in a good mood, "I don't know about her." The adults around them all looked at Miki Kujo teasingly. "If there's no accident, it should be." Miki Kujo wasn't embarrassed at all. When she said this, the rich ladies immediately became interested. They began to talk about when and where to get married, and when to have children after marriage. Toru Watanabe absent-mindedly counted the number of bamboo segments. After experiencing intimate contact, he admitted that he had thoughts about Miki Kujo's body. From this point of view, men were really hopeless idiots. However, he was determined and would never forget his hatred because of beauty and wealth. Moreover, with Miki Kujo's personality, there was a high probability that she treated him as a toy. The reason she brought him home was probably to use him as a shield so that the elders wouldn't bother her with marriage. It was absolutely impossible for the two of them to get married. Unless Toru Watanabe reached the age where he had to get married, in order not to arouse Miki Kujo's suspicion, he wouldn't quickly grow strong enough to resist her, and Miki Kujo didn't get tired of him. Only then would the two of them have a chance to get married. But how much effort do I have to put in to become strong enough to go against the Kujo clan, who has been accumulating power for hundreds of years, in just a few short years when the system is so weak? Someone tell me quickly. It's really urgent. In addition, the bamboo had 12, 9, and 7 segments. There was even one with 25 segments. Was it Buddhist bamboo? If it was sugarcane, there was no way it could be sold. Ren, what do you think? Miki Kujo smiled as she asked Toru Watanabe, who was spacing out. Ah, that's pretty good. In this year's name survey, he's number 1 among the males. Ran, full name Kujo Ran, was the name of Toru Watanabe and Miki Kujo's unborn child. In such a short time, these women had already thought of everything for the wedding and had already started naming their children. Number 1? That's too cheap. Kujo's mother muttered and thought very seriously. What about Shinai? Kiyono's mother suggested. I think we should call him Shoshi, Miki Kujo said. Kujo's mother looked up. Is it from the ancestors of Kujo Lai Shang and Kujo Lai Si? Yes. Miki Kujo nodded. Very domineering. Not bad, not bad. Kujo's mother seemed very satisfied. Miki was such a domineering name. She was definitely the one who came up with it. Then let's call the second child Shinai. Kiyono's mother suggested again, unwilling to give up. It seemed that she was quite fond of the name, Shinai. By the way, Kujo Lai Shang and Kujo Lai Si were the 2 generals of the Kamakura shogunate. As the sky darkened, a number of madams in gorgeous kimonos arrived one after another. Toru Watanabe adjusted his slightly numb knees and swallowed his 4th yawn. Out of the corner of his eye, he saw Rin Kiyono walk in. After finishing the music club activity early, she should have gone back to take a shower and change her clothes. Right now, she was wearing an aqua blue kimono embroidered with a snow-white swallow. Her long black hair, which was like 0.5 mm lead powder, was tied up high at the back of her head and fixed with a hairpin inlaid with gems. Toru Watanabe stared at her thin waist, which was tied up by her belt. Rin Kiyono vaguely glared at him, then respectfully went to greet the madams. Sigh. He was actually looking at how well her belt was tied up. He had no other intentions. The Chinese Valentine's Day party was very boring. No, it should be said that the madam's Chinese Valentine's Day party was very boring. They ate festive food, wrote waka, and talked about tea, flowers, and incense. Toru Watanabe felt a headache coming on. Miki Kujo was a very scary woman. Whether it was waka, tea, flowers, or incense, she was able to talk with the madams. He turned his gaze to Rin Kiyono, who was also very bored. From the conversation just now, she should have some understanding of waka, tea, and so on. But because of her cold personality, she didn't seem to be liked by the madams. Toru Watanabe guessed that the main reason was that she could tell when others were lying. At the same time, she also didn't know how to lie. A harmonious atmosphere didn't need such a person. For example, if one of the madams here actually didn't know much about waka, wouldn't it be very awkward if she pointed it out? Noticing Toru Watanabe's gaze, Rin Kiyono's gaze moved away from the pastries on her plate. Watanabe-san, please at least cover up your vulgar gaze. She warned him in a low voice. Vulgar? I'm sorry, but I'm a sage right now. When did sages become so cheap? Forget it. Then, Mr. Sage, how long are you going to stare at my body? Toru Watanabe looked meaningfully at Rin Kiyono. Good girl, not like a certain idiot senpai or the Kujo queen who's rusty with her legs. I'm not looking at your body, I'm looking at fate. Lies. Fate told me, Kiyono-san, your first child in the future will be called God's Leaf. Toru Watanabe said solemnly. Rin Kiyono felt helpless about Toru Watanabe's tendency to tell lies that could be seen through in a second. Let's not talk about whether or not I'll have a child. Even if I do, I won't give him a name like God's Leaf, which is as inexplicable as Kamen Rider 555. Rin. Mother. Rin Kiyono looked at her mother's stern gaze in confusion. Toru Watanabe laughed out loud. Miki Kujo's gaze swept over, and Toru Watanabe instantly stopped laughing and took a sip of tea as if nothing had happened. Yep, it's hot and hot. There's no such thing as a genius, I'm just learning from my mistakes and applying what I've learned. Toru Watanabe gently blew on the tea, and beautiful ripples appeared on the surface of the tea. Halfway through the gathering, Kujo's mother suggested that everyone write down their wishes for Chinese Valentine's Day and hang them on the bamboo trees. What should we wish for? How about not aging anymore? Getting younger and younger? I hope that my child will be able to share his father's work as soon as possible, and I also want to hold a grandson. I hope that every year from now on will be as peaceful as this year. As the ladies chatted, the three boys and girls were also discussing. Miss Kiyono, how about wishing that you'll continue to be number one in your grade? Miki Kujo kindly suggested. Not bad. How about Kujo's wish that you'll be number one in your exams? Rin Kiyono responded with a smile. The two of them stared at each other with lightning in their eyes. Watanabe-san, how about you wish that you'll be number one in your exams? Rin Kiyono still held a grudge against Seiji for what had just happened, and her tone was unfriendly. You can rely on yourself for this kind of thing. Oh my, you've been number 3 5 times in a row, including since the beginning of the school year. I really admire your courage. Rin Kiyono, who loved to speak the truth, mocked Seiji without holding back. Do you mean that you can easily surpass me? Miki Kujo smiled dangerously. Why are the two of you always united when you're against me? Isn't it too strange? Speaking of which, Seiji began to divert his attention. The cowherd and the weaver girl can only see each other once a year. Do they really have the ability to grant human wishes? They're gods. Even if they're poor, they can still grant human wishes easily. Take me for example. Even if I don't study much, I can still surpass Watanabe-san. Rin Kiyono rested her chin on her hand, thinking about what to wish for as she casually responded. That last sentence was unnecessary. Toru Watanabe skillfully retorted. Aren't the two of you a little too close? Miki Kujo's eyes were filled with murderous intent. How should I put it? Rin Kiyono picked up a pen and wrote on a short piece of paper. It's not good, but it's not bad either. It's just average. Since Rin Kiyono never lied, Miki Kujo only squinted at Toru Watanabe for a while and didn't pursue the matter. Toru Watanabe breathed a sigh of relief, but at the same time, he felt a little upset. Didn't you say that you were friends when I helped you a while ago? Now you're saying that your relationship is ordinary? Although he never asked for anything, Toru Watanabe still hoped to become friends with a special existence who never lied. He could only blame himself for having expectations and imposing his own opinions on Rin Kiyono. Served him right for being disappointed in the end. Sad, sad. Your name is narcissism. Toru Watanabe looked at the leafy bamboo in the middle of the room. Although they were indoors, a wind came out of nowhere, perhaps it was the air conditioner, and made the leaves rustle. It felt cool in the summer. Love Mickey until we're old. It wasn't like his wish would actually come true. Miki Kujo, who didn't know what privacy was, directly took Toru Watanabe's short piece of paper. Seeing the wish written in what seemed to be a regular script on a practice book, she let out a satisfied sound. What did you write? Toru Watanabe asked her. Hang it up for me. Miki Kujo handed her short piece of paper along with Toru Watanabe's. Squeeze Toru Watanabe dry. Miss, is it really appropriate to write this kind of wish? Are you shy? Or Miki Kujo leaned closer and pretended to whisper. She gently bit Toru Watanabe's earlobe. Do you remember what happened just now? Her toes twitched in her white stockings. Ha ha ha, don't worry. The only people who can see are you and my mother. His ear was itchy, and his saliva was very dirty. Cowherd and weaver girl, you wouldn't really be so free as to fulfill a mortal's wish, right? While hanging the short piece of paper on the bamboo leaf, Toru Watanabe whispered to Rin Kiyono, Kiyono, I want to test you with a question. Which two stars are Cowherd and Weaver Girl? The second River Drum and the first Weaver Girl are the bright stars of Aquila and Lyra respectively. Very well, Cowherd and Weaver Girl, listen up, I already know your house number. If you really dare to fulfill your wish, be careful that I'll blow you up in my spaceship in my old age. Although he didn't believe in superstitions, Toru Watanabe still prayed silently in his heart just in case. After all, even the system had it, what if there really was a god? It was important to be wary of the stars. When Toru Watanabe sent the warning letter to the Cowherd and Weaver Girl 25 light-years away and 16 light-years away, Rin Kiyono's voice was as shy as a mosquito's. Actually, other than my mother, I don't have a good relationship with everyone. So, her voice became softer and softer. Although our relationship is normal, in my heart, you're already number 2. Oh, I know. Girls were really two treacherous creatures. Also, there was really no need to be so honest. Saying such words so bluntly made the listener feel too shy. Toru Watanabe secretly glanced at the note she hung up. It was written in neat words, prohibit the whole world from lying. Is this girl an idiot? But Toru Watanabe let out a huge sigh of relief. Not to mention the Cowherd and Weaver Girl, even the Queen Mother couldn't stop the whole world from lying. He definitely wouldn't be squeezed dry, right? But it seemed like this matter only needed Miki Kujo to think about it herself. In any case, he couldn't let his guard down against women. Starting tomorrow, he would eat nutritious food. After writing the note, Kujo's mother organized a small fireworks event. Everyone sat in the corridor, surrounded by all kinds of fruits and tea. The fireworks went on for a full 15 minutes. It was very beautiful. Thinking about the summer training for the blowing club, and that he had to stay in Tokyo anyway, Toru Watanabe decided that he had to go to the summer festival to see the real fireworks event. What are you thinking about? Miki Kujo, who was sitting beside him, suddenly asked. The summer festival, Toru Watanabe replied without thinking. He turned his face and looked at Miki Kujo's pretty face lit up by the fireworks. He smiled proudly and said, I'm not bragging, but I'm the #1 goldfish fisherman in the village. It's not that I'm bragging. Sounds like bragging. Toru Watanabe put his hands behind his back and stretched lazily. He complained, can't you give your boyfriend some face? No. Under the fireworks, Miki Kujo refused with a devilish smile. Chapter 93. At 9 o'clock on Sunday night, Tokyo Station was still crowded. Toru Watanabe, who was wearing a shirt, was reading Don Quixote that he borrowed from Rin Kiyono. His expression was serious, and he occasionally looked up at the ticket gate. While studying hard, he also wanted to make people feel embarrassed to disturb him. The reason was simple. The night wind from the Shinkansen tram that entered and left the station would blow his natural long hair. At this time, there would be girls who were obsessed with him asking for lines. Well, in fact, it had nothing to do with the tram or whether his hair was blown by the night wind. It was mainly because he was too handsome. Toru Watanabe memorized an unfamiliar Spanish word and was ready to go back and look it up. He looked up at the ticket gate again. A dark-skinned, thin, and delicate woman attracted his attention. The woman looked around the station. When she saw Toru Watanabe, her face immediately bloomed with a smile. Toru Watanabe also couldn't help but smile, which charmed the people around him. He closed the book and walked toward the woman. Mom. Toru Watanabe greeted her and reached out his hand. Xiao Che. Watanabe Ji handed the lighter paper bag to Toru Watanabe. She was still carrying the heavier red Boston bag. "Why did you bring so many things?" Toru Watanabe opened the paper bag. There were tender corn, green beans, radishes, and other seasonal vegetables wrapped in shells. There was also a bottle of jam that he made himself. "These things can be bought. It's troublesome to bring them here," he said. "How can Tokyo's vegetables be better than homegrown vegetables?" "That's true." Toru Watanabe was too lazy to say that vegetables that don't taste good can't survive in a big city, or something like that. Arguing with the elders, especially his mother, was a waste of time. It was better to just accept it. Besides, the things were already brought here. Now, he just needed to thank them properly. The two had just taken 2 steps when Toru Watanabe told his mother that he would put the things in his rented apartment first and then take her to dinner. A woman in a suit stopped them. "Hello, do you have a firm?" "Firm?" Toru Watanabe was puzzled. "If you don't, please consider our club." The woman handed over a business card. Written on it were the words, Janus Associates, Keiko Shirace. There was also a string of phone numbers. Kajiko Shirace looked at Toru Watanabe and spoke in an exaggerated tone of praise for a work of art. "Our firm needs a face like yours. If you sign a contract with us, I guarantee that, in terms of resources..." Toru Watanabe was still wondering why a man in his 30s would ask for a line like a young girl. "Thank you. I have no plans to debut as an artist," Toru Watanabe said as he gestured to his mother and quickly left. "If you want to, please make sure to call the number on the business card." The mother and son arrived at the platform of the Maruchi line. Watanabe-ji held the title of the film and teased, "Isn't it good to be an artist? Just like Kitano Takashi." "How is he like Kitano Takashi?" "No matter what, he is still Takuya Kimura," Toru Watanabe retorted unhappily. "Ah, Tasaka-kun, Mummy is waiting for him to get a divorce. I will tell Dad about this." "Your dad is also waiting for his Shizuka-chan to get a divorce." "Right. Tasaka-kun is also an artist under Janus Associates. Little Che, you should debut. Get an autograph for Mummy." "We'll talk about it later." Toru Watanabe gave a perfunctory reply and looked at his watch. The next tram would arrive in 5 minutes. "What do you mean by later? When exactly?" "If I don't get into Tokyo University, I will debut and get an autograph for you," Toru Watanabe promised. "If you don't want to help, just say it. Why do you have to be so perfunctory? Mummy is not forcing you." However, getting Tasaka-kun's autograph was Mummy's unfulfilled dream when I was young. "Now, son, you can help me." Blah 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 blah. Toru Watanabe casually agreed with his mother's words. Watanabe probably didn't expect her son to debut as an idol for her. She kept talking about how handsome Takuya Kimura was when he was young. Clank, clank, clank. The lights were getting closer and closer. The tram that saved Toru Watanabe arrived at the platform. "I'll go grab a seat," Toru Watanabe interrupted his mother, who was still talking to herself. He squeezed into the crowd and rushed to get on the carriage. After getting on the tram, Watanabe finally quieted down. She curiously gazed at the moat and the Kokyo in the night. Toru Watanabe put his things in the rental room, washed his sweaty face, and took his mother to a decent restaurant. "It's expensive here, right?" Watanabe quietly looked around the bright and spacious hall. "It's okay. I work to make money, so I can afford to be extravagant once in a while." After ordering the main course, Toru Watanabe thought that women liked to eat desserts. Since his mother had been living in the countryside, she didn't have the opportunity to eat desserts, so he ordered some fashionable pastries and an ice cream set with 8 flavors. Soon, an elegant waiter brought out the beautifully arranged food and pastries. Watanabe wanted to leave the pastries and ice cream for Toru Watanabe, but he repeatedly said that he couldn't finish them. "She only started eating. You're much more mature than before. Going to school in Tokyo is quite effective," Watanabe said as she ate. "What does it have to do with Tokyo? I didn't have money before. If I had money, I would have treated you to a meal." The mother and son chatted casually. "You're a bit fatter. You look more energetic. You were too thin before. Yes. Did you make any friends? 2 or 3. What about your girlfriend? There's one. Is it a classmate? Tell me about her, and her picture. This kind of thing needs to be approved, right? I'll tell you after I discuss it with her. That's true. You must respect the girl's opinion. Watanabe nodded solemnly. Understood. After breakfast, the mother and son walked back. The next morning, when Toru Watanabe woke up, his mother was already stirring the vegetable salad and stewing the soup in the pot. So early? Going for a run. Watanabe was surprised and looked at Toru Watanabe with disbelief. Toru Watanabe ignored her and said, "I'll be back in 20 minutes. Then he put on his shoes and went out. Remember to buy 2 cartons of milk. His mother ordered from behind. After breakfast, Toru Watanabe repeated the time of the interview. Then, he picked up his bag and yawned as he left the house. He had to send his mother back in the afternoon, so he probably wouldn't participate in any club activities, so he didn't bring his oboe. Perhaps it was retribution for cutting the line last night. Toru Watanabe didn't have a seat in the morning, so he had to hold on to the suspension and his body swayed along with the tram. After the morning class, considering that Toru Watanabe's house was far away, Aona Koizumi arranged for him to be the first to attend the interview. Unlike the guys who didn't do well in exams and made mistakes in school, Toru Watanabe was very calm about the interview. Anyway, Aona Koizumi promised him that she wouldn't tell his mother about him peeking at girls' measurements and learning how to calculate girls' measurements, so what was there to be afraid of? Actually, it didn't matter if she told him. At most he would be laughed at for a while when he returned to the village. It was a good opportunity to practice his ability to not care about other people's opinions. In the empty classroom, there were only 3 desks. Toru Watanabe looked at the tree leaves that were illuminated by the sun outside the window while listening to Aona Koizumi and his mother's conversation. "Hello, Watanabe's mother. Hello, Koizumi. Our family's little Che has troubled you. Watanabe is very sensible and hard-working. The other teachers and I like him very much. You're welcome." After the greetings, the formal interview began. "Have you decided on the direction of your studies?" "Yes, this child has always wanted to go to Tokyo University." "What kind of career do you want to pursue?" "What are your dreams?" "Debut as an idol and become an outstanding artist like Takato-kun." Is that so?" Aona Koizumi was surprised. "That's your dream, Mom." Toru Watanabe rested his elbows on the desk and rested his chin on his hand as he complained weakly. "Then what's your dream? What kind of career do you want to pursue?" Watanabe asked. "I haven't decided yet. Anyway, it won't be Takuya Kimura's autographed photo." The 15-year-old Toru Watanabe would tell everyone that he wanted to become a qualified, Tokyo handsome guy, but he was already 16 years old and had learned a lot from Rin Kiyono. One of them was, before you succeed in something, you must remain calm and collected, but your heart must be filled with excitement. Sit properly. Koizumi-sensei is still here. You don't know how to sit properly. Watanabe seemed to be a little angry as she reprimanded him. "No, it's completely fine. It makes the teacher very happy that a student can be so relaxed in front of the teacher." Aona Koizumi smiled as she tried to persuade him. Watanabe smiled apologetically at Aona Koizumi and unhappily glared at Toru Watanabe. Toru Watanabe couldn't help but purse his lips. After the interview, Watanabe said that she wanted to visit his club. Of course, she couldn't go to the music club. Toru Watanabe was afraid of being reported, so he had to bring his mother to the Human Observation Department. "Oh, you're here." Toru Watanabe looked at Rin Kiyono, who was listening to music by the window. "Yes." Rin Kiyono was flipping through the music score and didn't raise her head as she answered. "They wanted to talk face to face, so I let them practice by themselves." Watanabe quietly pulled her son's school uniform. "This is your girlfriend?" "You can say that. You're talking nonsense." Rin Kiyono raised her head and was startled when she saw Watanabe. She immediately stood up. Hello. Hello, I'm Toru's mother. Hello, Auntie. I'm Rin Kiyono. I'm not your son's girlfriend. When I said girlfriend, I meant a female friend. Why are you in such a hurry? Rin Kiyono glared at Toru Watanabe and politely said to Watanabe's mother, Auntie, please take a seat. I'll bring you some tea. Thank you. Watanabe sat on the sofa with a smile. Although he didn't know if Miki Kujo would mind his mother sitting on her sofa, it would be troublesome to pull her up now. So, Toru Watanabe decided that if Miki Kujo got angry later, he would just lick her shoes as an apology. Just kidding. While Rin Kiyono was boiling water and making tea, Watanabe kept winking at Toru Watanabe. But unfortunately, Toru Watanabe didn't have the ability to read the old auntie's eyes. He had no idea what she was trying to say. Messages such as the couple is putting on an act, don't think I can't tell, and so on, were all misinterpreted by him due to the noon sun on the way here. After Aunt Watanabe took the steaming tea from Rin Kiyono's hands, she gave up trying to pretend to be mother and son with her son. Linjon, does Toru give you any trouble? No, Watanabe is very conscientious in club activities. Toru Watanabe was sure that the trouble his mother was talking about was definitely not club activities. I see. I was worried that this child doesn't know how to do anything except study. Toru Watanabe was unhappy. Nothing is too much, right? I'm quite confident in planting potatoes. Recently, I've also learned how to play the oboe. Watanabe completely ignored her son. She blew at the tea, took a sip, and asked Rin Kiyono, Are you getting along well? Under the gaze of Watanabe's mother, Rin Kiyono looked away unnaturally and stared at the corner of the sofa. It's very interesting. After whispering, she felt that her face was hot as if it had been scorched by the sun. She wasn't sure if her face was red, and she didn't want to confirm it. That's good, that's good. I'm relieved. Watanabe's young face showed a gratified smile like an old woman. Toru Watanabe couldn't stand it anymore. Mom, she's really not my girlfriend. I was just joking. What? Itsuki Watanabe was shocked. Why? Why? What do you mean why? I think Linjon is very cute. No, she's very cute. I really want her to be my son's girlfriend. Toru Watanabe was speechless. If things in the world could be done just by thinking, there wouldn't be famine and the gap between the rich and the poor. Watanabe-san, do you mean that I'm not cute? Rin Kiyono stared at Toru Watanabe with cold eyes. Toru Watanabe could understand her insistence on her appearance being cute, but did he mean that she wasn't cute? I'm talking about my mom's last words. Then, do you mean that I'm not qualified to be your girlfriend? That's what I mean. Isn't it? That's exactly what I heard. Forget it, I'll do whatever you say. Toru Watanabe is a puppy. Please become a puppy, Watanabe-san. I'll try to work harder in my next life. Watanabe-ji held her teacup and laughed happily for some reason. She was full of the cheerfulness of a country bumpkin. Ah, I'm sorry. Rin Kiyono's cold expression immediately turned red. Toru Watanabe said angrily, Mom, your son is being bullied in school. How can you laugh? I just feel that Linjon is really cute. Sigh, why isn't she my wife? Do you have a girl who's better than Linjon? Auntie, I'm not being modest. To be honest, I don't, Rin Kiyono said firmly. Wife. Daughter-in-law, right? As for excellence, there's a senior sister named Asako Hanada who's very good. As soon as Toru Watanabe finished speaking, the two girls immediately looked at him with dissatisfaction. Watanabe-ji looked at Rin Kiyono. Linjon, do you know Toru's girlfriend? Yes. What kind of person is she? Arrogant, conceited, selfish, narcissistic, and hypocritical. Toru Watanabe explained, Rin Kiyono is an idiot who only knows how to express her own subjective opinions. Don't worry about her. 3rd place in the grade. Forget it. Rin Kiyono decided to swallow her anger for the time being. After drinking tea, Watanabe Ji had to catch the bus, so the mother and son left the school. While waiting for the bus at Sigu Station, Watanabe Ji said proudly like a detective who had seen the truth of the matter, "Linjon has a lot of opinions about your girlfriend." "Everyone knows that." "Then do you know the reason?" "I really don't know, and I've never asked." "Maybe they don't like each other," Toru Watanabe added. "Rin Kiyono doesn't like anyone." Watanabe Ji patted her son's back hard. "You're still too young. Although I don't know what you're thinking, I can tell you that your son has absolutely nothing to do with what happened between the two of them." Watanabe Ji looked at her son's confident face and grinned for some reason. "What are you smiling about? I have a feeling that Linjon's high school life will be very happy." "Will it?" Mom nodded vigorously. "At least I think it will be very happy." "If only that were the case." "Happy?" "If it weren't for your son selling himself to survive, our family would have been over long ago, although he was the one who caused all this." Toru Watanabe Ji looked at the track that was about to melt from the heat and felt that it was about time for him. Summer in Tokyo was really hot. Chapter 94. In the window seat, Toru Watanabe looked at the reed pipe in his hand. It had a diameter of about 11 millimeters, could be stored for 2 years, and was made in France. It was straight, smooth, shiny, and a little tan with brown stripes. The fibers were fine and compact. It was the best material for making whistles. On the afternoon of the second day of the interview week, the sound of cicadas was accompanied by the hot summer sun. In the classroom of Year 1 Class 4, the students were doing their own things. Toru Watanabe, who had made the first whistle out of tune, was fiddling with the reed cutter, string, whistle stand, blade, and other tools, preparing to make the second whistle himself. "I'm back." After the interview, Keisuke Saito looked like he had shed a layer of skin. He slumped in the girl's seat in front of Toru Watanabe. He stared blankly at Toru Watanabe, who was concentrating on wrapping the string for the whistle. "What are you doing?" "Making whistles." "Whistles?" "That's right." Toru Watanabe thought of something interesting. Professional oboe players usually have good skills in making whistles, and whistles are also called reeds. Therefore, oboe players are also reed makers. After that, he introduced himself again. "I, Watanabe, am an excellent oboe player who is destined to become a master in the future." "Oh, and..." Keisuke Saito's reaction was very calm. "Saito, you're really boring. You're the boring one. You don't know what you're talking about. It's hard to explain to a Japanese like you." The reed maker, Toru Watanabe, shook his head like he was playing the lute to a cow. He picked up the whistle with the string and tried to blow it. After making sure that there was no problem, he used a knife to thin the tip. Keisuke Saito didn't have the energy to argue with Toru Watanabe. He used the air conditioning in the classroom to cool down and recover his energy. At the same time, he pricked up his ears to eavesdrop on the girls' conversation in the front row. "Really?" "Shoo." The girl stole a glance at him. Keisuke Saito was still staring at the ceiling. The reed maker, Toru Watanabe, still had his head down as he diligently made the whistle. From time to time, he would pick it up and blow on it. Outside the window, the shouts of the sports club could be heard under the scorching sun. The baseball department of Osamu Kanai was working hard to prepare for the Koshien qualifiers. The conversation between the girls continued. "I didn't expect him to have such a bad personality. He actually scolded a girl's appearance. What a scum." "Too bad." "Scum." Keisuke Saito nodded in his heart. It seemed that girls didn't judge a book by its cover. Some of them were sensible. Toru Watanabe put the tools into his bag. "I'm going to the club. Do you want to come with me?" Keisuke Saito leaned back. "I'll rest for a while. It's too hot in the corridor." "Then I'll leave first." "Okay." Toru Watanabe put his bag over his shoulder, put his hands in his pockets, and put the new whistle in his mouth. He played Kikujiro no Summer from time to time and walked leisurely towards the classroom door. The girls in the front row immediately quieted down. After he left, the classroom door was closed. "Did you see that? Did you see that? Yeah. His walking posture is so handsome. Ah, Watanabe. I want to be scolded by him." Keisuke Saito. When Toru Watanabe passed by the door of Class 2, he glanced inside and didn't see Miki Kujo. As a result, he bumped into Yoshimi Tamamo, who came out of Class 1. She was holding a trombone in her hand, and a flower hairband was wrapped around her white wrist. Yoshimi Tamamo glared at Toru Watanabe. She still remembered what happened on Shibuya Central Street last time. It was hard to believe that a boy would ask her out, and she agreed. After they arrived at the meeting place, he stood her up. Toru Watanabe didn't want to see her. There were many ways to get to the music classroom, but deliberately taking a detour at this time would make him feel guilty. So the two of them walked in the same direction one after the other. There were other people on the road, but it felt awkward. It was like shooting a TV series. Although there were passers-by beside them, the camera was always aimed at the two of them. Is this the awkwardness of running into your ex-girlfriend? Toru Watanabe withdrew his gaze from Yoshimi Tamamo's back and looked out of the corridor window. On a hot sunny day in the rainy season, there were still couples sitting under the tree in the atrium. Their arms were close to each other, and even the wind couldn't pass between them. Even Toru Watanabe felt hot for them. He simply stared at Yoshimi Tamamo in front of him. But how should he say it? It was all so hot. It was about the weather. "You brought your instrument home to practice?" Toru Watanabe waited for a while to confirm that Yoshimi Tamamo was talking to him. "Yes." "So?" He couldn't see Yoshimi Tamamo's expression, and he couldn't hear any special emotions from her voice. Stepping into the corridor of the club building, the sun suddenly became stronger, and he could see the airplane clouds when he looked up. Time: 2 hours. Toru Watanabe thought the conversation was over and didn't react in time. "So, I say," Toru Watanabe couldn't help but say, "are you imitating Tomorrow-senpai?" Like a volcano erupting without warning, Yoshimi Tamamo turned her head and stared angrily at Toru Watanabe with her beautiful amber eyes. Toru Watanabe was startled, and thought that she was going to use the instrument case in her hand as a weapon, so he subconsciously stopped. "The way you spoke just now was really similar to Tomorrow-senpai," he explained. "This is the way to communicate with people you hate. I hate you, you're so beautiful, and I hate Toru Watanabe, do you understand? If you hate me, isn't not the best way to communicate with me?" Yoshimi Tamamo couldn't say anything, and turned around angrily, her pleated skirt fluttering in the wind. "Too bad. Too bad. I'm so angry." The very cute girl cursed unrestrainedly as she strode to the other side of the corridor. Toru Watanabe was a little surprised by her extreme reaction. But forget it, it didn't matter if she was bad or not, as long as the two of them didn't continue to have any contact with each other. Yep, this is for her own good. It's not just self-protection, and it's not because I'm afraid of Kujo. It was obviously interview week, but for some reason, all the members of Group A of the blowing department were gathered in the music classroom. "There's nothing to be surprised about." Rin Kiyono noticed Toru Watanabe's question. "I suggested to the school that we let the members of the blowing department have an interview first. Didn't you say that you didn't need to use special privileges?" "I just wanted to clarify the necessity of doing so, and the school thinks that it's reasonable." "I don't know what special privileges you're talking about." "Whatever you say." Rin Kiyono glared unhappily at Toru Watanabe, who had a "you're lying to yourself" expression on his face. After an afternoon of music, Toru Watanabe didn't want to eat out because it was too hot. He stayed in the Human Observation Department's activity classroom and ate Miki Kujo's snacks. He hadn't seen her for the past 2 afternoons. As expected of the daughter of the Kujo family, she was so busy. Toru Watanabe wanted her to be so busy that she didn't even come to school. Suddenly, there was a polite knock on the door, and he responded while guessing who it was. "Sorry to bother you." It was Aoi Ichiki and Asako Hanada who walked in. When they saw that Toru Watanabe was the only one in the activity classroom, a trace of awkwardness flashed across their faces. Aoi Ichiki nodded, and the petite Asako Hanada, as usual, lowered her head shyly and didn't look at him. Now, other than my Asahi, there shouldn't be any girls in the wind instrument department who would want to be alone with him, Toru Watanabe thought to himself. In fact, he still underestimated this world. There were plenty of people like Uzumaki Karen in Naruto, in real life. Apart from his appearance, there were also plenty of people who yearned for his strong performance despite his trashy personality. If Toru Watanabe didn't hurt these girls, he might even have a chance to become the next head of the wind instrument department. But in order to let Rin Kiyono better lead the wind instrument department, he voluntarily made an enemy of the world. This was a rather cool way to put it, so on the surface, no one would get close to him. But the best proof of this was that Aoi Ichiki, who was once criticized to tears by Rin Kiyono, was now in the activity classroom of the Human Observation Department. "Kiyono probably went to eat, she'll be back soon," Toru Watanabe said out of hospitality. "Ah, thank you." Even though she was his senior, Asako Hanada blushed and respectfully bowed. Other than that, Toru Watanabe didn't do anything else. The two of them stood there awkwardly. Not to mention tea, there wasn't even a seat. Just as Aoi Ichiki was thinking about whether or not to come back another time, the door opened and Rin Kiyono walked in. "Hanada-senpai, Itsuki classmate?" "Advisor Kiyono. You're finally back." "Kiyono classmate." The two girls seemed to be relieved. Rin Kiyono looked at Toru Watanabe suspiciously, thinking that he couldn't control his bestial instincts and was about to attack the girls. Toru Watanabe didn't know what she was looking at. Rin Kiyono thought about it and felt that he didn't have the guts to do such a thing, so she ignored his gaze and said to the two girls, "Is there something you need from me?" Aoi Ichiki looked at Asako Hanada. Asako Hanada puffed up her cheeks and nodded cutely as if sharing her courage. Aoi Ichiki took a deep breath. "Advisor Kiyono. Now isn't the time for the wind instrument club, just call me Kiyono classmate." "Kiyono classmate, although I know that it's not appropriate to make a personal request in this situation, I still hope that during the summer, you can put me and Minami in the same room." "Ah, so it's Aoi Ichiki's love story, summer cohabitation." Toru Watanabe immediately lost interest. He thought that they were here to secretly complain. During the afternoon training, if Toru Watanabe remembered correctly, he had humiliated the two girls in front of him. He was looking forward to it for nothing. "Sure, no problem at all." Rin Kiyono nodded. "That's great." Aoi Ichiki excitedly clenched her fist. "Itsuki classmate, do you already know where Minami wants to be confessed to?" "Not yet." Aoi Ichiki unclenched her fist in frustration. "I haven't been paying attention to you recently. How's the situation now?" "Minami doesn't talk to me much now, other than guiding me in my training." Aoi Ichiki's voice became lower and lower. "So it's like that." Rin Kiyono put her hand on her chin and lowered her head in contemplation. "So it's because your skills are too bad that she's disappointed?" "So it's like that." Aoi Ichiki's hand grasped her skirt in disappointment. "No, it's because you've disturbed her a few times." Toru Watanabe, who was flipping through Don Quixote, replied in his mind. "From my observation, even when Watanabe showed his annoying side, Minami didn't dislike him. I'm guessing that she's someone who likes and dislikes based on her playing skills." "Kiyono classmate, no matter what you say, your conclusion is wrong. My Asahi is simply unsatisfied." Toru Watanabe turned the page of the book. "Other than training hard, is there really no other way? There's only 1.5 months left until the end of summer. Minami will leave the department by then. How can I train well in 1.5 months?" Aoi Ichiki asked anxiously. Rin Kiyono shook her head. "Other than training hard, there's no other way." The activity classroom fell into silence. While Aoi Ichiki was in a daze, Asako Hanada gently tugged on her clothes, hinting at Toru Watanabe. Aoi Ichiki seemed to have seen the light for a moment, but she couldn't make a sound when she opened her mouth. Seijino Rin noticed their actions and thought for a while. He felt that this was a good opportunity for Toru Watanabe to restore his image. Ask away, it's fine. Can I? In the activity classroom of the Human Observation Department, cursing is prohibited. I've never heard of such a rule before. Toru Watanabe didn't want to get involved in other people's troubles. Because I just made the decision. Rin Kiyono said matter-of-factly. A rule that goes into effect without a democratic vote? Yes, that's right. Rin Kiyono smiled. Are you jealous, Watanabe classmate? But let me tell you a piece of unfortunate news. The term of the department head is 3 years. She didn't wait for Toru Watanabe's reaction and said to Aoi Ichiki, "Don't worry, Itsuki classmate." Why did this scene sound like a dog being comforted by a dog and letting a child pet it? Toru Watanabe, who planned to reincarnate as a dog in his next life, closed his book helplessly and looked over. Before he could look at Aoi Ichiki, he was stunned by Asako Hanada's reaction. This petite and cute senior with 8 points of stamina looked back and forth between him and Rin Kiyono with her big eyes. She clenched her fists tightly as if she wanted to punch him in the chest. What is she doing? I don't think I've triggered her emotional misophobia, right? Watanabe-san, how can I improve my performance in a short period of time like you? Aoi Ichiki's voice pulled Toru Watanabe back from his self-reflection. Impossible, there's no hope. Just give up. Toru Watanabe said 3 times in a row. Rin Kiyono sighed and massaged his temples. How could he ease their relationship like this? Please at least tell me your training method and schedule. Aoi Ichiki didn't give up. Oh, you're interested? Toru Watanabe's interest was piqued. Yes. Please tell me. Toru Watanabe cleared his throat. Just as he was about to solemnly state his life plan as if he was making an oath, Seino Rin spoke first. If you stick to his schedule, you will indeed become an outstanding person in the future, but it's impossible for you to reach his level in half a month. Toru Watanabe looked at her with dissatisfaction. Rin Kiyono tilted her head slightly. Did I guess wrong? You're not wrong. Then why are you looking at me like that? Because you're cute. Don't waste everyone's time. Rin Kiyono swept her long hair behind her back. Toru Watanabe felt that this girl was very proud of herself. When he looked away, he met Asako Hanada's eyes again. Damn it. But didn't Watanabe classmate become very good in a month? Aoi Ichiki said loudly. It's half a month. Rin Kiyono corrected her. Aoi Ichiki bowed to Toru Watanabe. Watanabe classmate, if you can, please tell me how you did it. Please. You're willing to go to this extent for the sake of love. I approve of you. Toru Watanabe said in a low voice. All right, I'll tell you the secret to the unique one. Really? Thank you so much. Normally, with a human's potential, it's impossible to master a musical instrument in half a month. Yes, then can't we just break this limit? How can we break it? Aoi Ichiki asked. That's the key. Listen carefully. The 3 of them held their breaths and looked at Toru Watanabe motionlessly. Actually, I'm a genius young scientist. I'm researching how to break through human limits and have already achieved some results. The oboe is one of them. I'm with Miki for the sake of the Kujo family's wealth and power. So that's how it is. Hanada Chao-zi was enlightened. Yes. Toru Watanabe nodded seriously. He really wanted to know what this senior sister of his understood. He was really curious. Is that so? Maybe it was because of Toru Watanabe's results, or maybe it was because of his appearance, but Aoi Ichiki's expression showed that she didn't quite believe him. Rin Kiyono sighed as if she couldn't stand it anymore and said to the 2 girls, "Don't mind what this man says. He's used to using the most serious expression and telling the most vulnerable lies. I'm also troubled by this. Vulnerable? Toru Watanabe was dissatisfied. Didn't she see that everyone else was stunned? Are you worried about this? Hanada Chouko widened her big round eyes, which were like black grapes. Lies? Aoi Ichiki looked at Rin Kiyono in disbelief. However, Rin Kiyono ignored everyone's reaction. Although he likes to talk nonsense, he's a man with a lot of redeeming qualities. A dignified transmigrator was only evaluated as redeeming qualities. Girl, you're really something. In the end, Aoi Ichiki didn't get any useful information from Toru Watanabe. After the two left, Rin Kiyono said to Toru Watanabe, "That was a good opportunity to repair our relationship. Why did you say that on purpose?" I don't plan to be friends with Aoi Ichiki. It doesn't matter what she thinks of me, right? What about Hanada-senpai? Didn't you think she's pretty good? She's pretty good. Toru Watanabe thought that being a clean freak was an advantage. If I met her before I joined the Human Observation Department, I would have fallen in love with her. The day he joined the Human Observation Department was the day the system was activated. With the system, being a clean freak became a disadvantage. Especially when the girl had 8 points of stamina and could strangle someone to death with her zither strings. She didn't even have to buy zither strings. It was too dangerous. Ah, so you've been treating me as your standard since then? No wonder you got together with Miki Kujo. Ah. Was this how girls thought these days? Was it his own problem, or was it the problem of this proud girl in front of him? Chapter 95. After the interview week, it was exam week. Club activities were banned by the school, and the keys to the activity rooms were no longer lent out. Therefore, even if there were members who wanted to continue participating in club activities, they could only go home or go to other places. Except for the Human Observation Department. Toru Watanabe finally understood why the student council was looking for trouble with them. After hearing Toru Watanabe's explanation, Rin Kiyono looked away from the red exercise book. Because our club members are in the top 3 in the school, even if we participate in club activities, it won't affect our grades. That's why we're allowed to continue borrowing the keys. I don't think so. Miki Kujo deliberately contradicted her. Then tell me the reason? Rin Kiyono replied in an unfriendly tone. Of course it's because of money. Miki Kujo twirled the pen in her hand. Kamigawa is a private school. It does business. Cultivating excellent students is just a means. Profit is the ultimate goal. Isn't it natural to please rich people like us? I see. That makes sense. Toru Watanabe nodded seriously. Miki Kujo slapped the pen in her hand on the textbook and grabbed his ear. Who are you helping? Of course I'm helping you. Then what's with your tone? Do you think I'm an idiot? I'm trying to cheer you up. Studying is so hard. I'm just trying to liven up the atmosphere. Miki Kujo sneered. You're such a smooth talker. Do you think I'm easy to fool? It's time for the study session, you two. Rin Kiyono stared at the two of them coldly. Study session. Rin Kiyono, who believed that high school knowledge only needed to be listened to in class. Miki Kujo, who believed that high school knowledge was like the inherited memories of the Dragon Clan. It would naturally be learned as one grew older. 3 parallel lines that originally wouldn't have intersected have finally met because of my hard work. Toru Watanabe, whose head was tilted and one of his ears was being pulled, sighed. He was filled with a sense of accomplishment. The price was that it was just a symbolic pull on his ear. Ouch, ouch, ouch. Miki, let go. It's going to become an ear. It wasn't just the 3 of them who were studying. Hard-working guys were everywhere in Kamigawa. Even Yoshimi Tamamo was working hard in her own way. During lunch break, when Toru Watanabe was buying strawberry milk from the vending machine, he noticed that she was reading an English cookbook that he had organized himself. Toru Watanabe was very pleased with her growth, but wasn't writing English vocabulary a little too easy? It's almost time for the exam. If you don't know how to do it at this stage, It's going to be bad, Tamamo. Yoshimi Tamamo noticed his gaze and retracted her hands into the sleeves of the knitted cardigan she was wearing because the classroom was too air-conditioned. She snorted and walked past him. Is this the cute sleeve that, when wearing long-sleeved clothes, only the fingers are exposed, looking very cute? Toru Watanabe finished the carton of milk in one gulp and screamed, "I really don't have a single drop left," through the straw. He silently prayed for Yoshimi Tamamo to pass the exam and threw the carton of milk into the trash can. The final exam ended peacefully. There was no second believer of love who used the excuse of going to the bathroom to make a suicide confession to a young lady in the courtyard during the exam. After another week of classes, Toru Watanabe was about to usher in his first high school summer vacation. The day after the exam, the wind ensemble immediately resumed training. It wasn't just the wind ensemble, many sports clubs were also working hard to participate in the competition during the summer vacation. Toru Watanabe admired them for being able to train under the scorching sun, but the unknown yelling could easily upset people, especially in the summer. During the choir break, the girls talked about the final exam and the summer vacation together. Toru Watanabe sat on the steel chair with his hands on the back of the chair and played a game on his phone. "What are you playing?" Kaoru Hayami put down the bassoon and asked. "Here." Toru Watanabe tilted his phone slightly to show her the screen. Kaoru Hayami was the only member of the wind ensemble who talked to him normally. The others said it was because of her naturally gentle personality. But Toru Watanabe thought it was actually because he hadn't found her to humiliate yet. So far, only Masahi and Kaoru Hayami hadn't been personally attacked by him. Even Yoshimi Tamamo had been ridiculed by him for being big-breasted and brainless. This was a very regrettable thing. Because in the future, if he said, "I scolded all the girls in the wind ensemble," when chatting with others, Rin Kiyono would think it was a lie. Music games. This, Kaoru Hayami pointed at the phone screen, will it help with practice? Aha. Toru Watanabe thought for a moment, but wasn't sure, who knows. Then Watanabe classmate plays because he likes to play? That's not it. I used to play other mobile games, but after joining the wind ensemble, I thought that since I have to play, I might as well play a music game. Maybe it will help. Kaoru Hayami was shocked and couldn't help but admire him. You're even working hard to play a game. Watanabe classmate, you're really amazing. Senior, you don't know? What? The fact that I'm called the amazing Watanabe, ? Kaoru Hayami froze for a moment, then covered her mouth and laughed. I haven't heard about this, but Watanabe is really a scum, I often hear people say. I really can't do anything about them, but the amazing people are always envied. As Toru Watanabe spoke, the phone screen kept popping up in yellow letters. Can I play a game? Sure. Toru Watanabe handed the phone to her and briefly explained the rules. At the beginning of the game, Kaoru Hayami was able to keep up, but once the rhythm increased, she made mistakes again and again. Ah, so fast. Don't panic. Follow the rhythm. There's so much. What to do? What to do? You can use both hands. No, I can't keep up at all. After the game, Kaoru Hayami felt her hands were sweaty, and her score was only B. Toru Watanabe said, the song I chose is more difficult. Since it's your first time playing, it's better to start with something simple. Watanabe classmate is really amazing. His grades are excellent, his oboe skills are first class, and even his games are so good. Kaoru Hayami took out a tissue from her pleated skirt pocket and embarrassedly wiped the sweat on her phone. Toru Watanabe took the phone and opened the next game. Otherwise, why would I be called amazing? Before he could finish his nonsense, he suddenly felt something enter his neck. He reached out and touched it, and it was actually a few strands of hair. At the same time, a light and familiar fragrance wrapped around his body. Toru Watanabe, who had a good memory, knew who it was as soon as he smelled it. Minato? Yeah. Along with the warm breath by his ear, a soft round object pressed against Toru Watanabe's back. What is this? Masahi had been abstinent for so long, and she still couldn't find a chance to be alone. Finally, she couldn't restrain her bestial desires and wanted to harass him in front of so many people? Minato, what are you doing? Very interesting. What? Before Toru Watanabe could react, my Asahi behind him took another step forward. He could clearly feel that a certain extremely elastic and soft object was being forcefully pressed down. Minato's breasts are like springs. If you're strong, she'll be weak. If you're weak, bah, you're like a spring. While Toru Watanabe was distracted, more and more strands of hair fell into his collar. He didn't dare to move his head. In this situation, as long as he turned around, it was very likely that an accidental kiss would occur, just like in light novels. No, it wasn't very likely. He thought that my Asahi was definitely going for such an accident. Even if they didn't kiss at the beginning, she would still pretend to be an accident and deliver it to him. I, Watanabe, was born to be Mickey's man. I'll only be another woman's ghost in death. I can't fall for her trick. What are you doing? Kaoru Hayami recovered from his shock. She wasn't the only one. Everyone in the music room was looking at them. Aoi Ichiki covered her mouth with both hands and looked at my Asahi in disbelief. She was lying on Toru Watanabe's back. My Asahi ignored everyone else and slowly stretched out her hands to continue playing the music game that Toru Watanabe kept missing. The ending song of the anime Monster Watch, Monster Gymnastics No. 1, was the only sound in the music room. Toru Watanabe looked at the flexible slender hands on his phone. On my Asahi's sleeve, there was a line of words written with a red pen. The members of the playing club had the habit of writing exam questions on the back of their hands. But Toru Watanabe was puzzled. Wasn't the exam already over? Did they pay more attention to their playing? He took a closer look. Underwear, not wearing. The delicate and neat handwriting was very different from the content of the words. When did she take it off? Did she not wear it from the beginning? Didn't that mean she had a premeditated plan against me? Toru Watanabe's Adam's apple bobbed. He focused his mind on his back and decided to confirm whether my Asahi was lying or not. As Rin Kiyono's only friend, Toru Watanabe hated lying the most. Senior. Aoi Ichiki walked over quickly. She held up Toru Watanabe's phone and put her arm around my Asahi's shoulder as if she was a patient. She helped her back to her seat. She didn't forget to turn around and say, Watanabe classmate, let me borrow your phone for a while. I'll download it for senior and then return it to you. Ah, okay. Toru Watanabe regretted that he wasn't able to check whether my Asahi was a liar or not. But when he thought about how today's matter might spread to Miki Kujo's ears, he immediately gave up on the idea. But Itsuki classmate, if you continue like this, forget about acting out a love story, maybe. I hope you can take care of yourself. But he couldn't blame Aoi Ichiki for this. Who would have thought that my Asahi, who was usually taciturn and expressionless, was actually a woman who indulged in debauchery? This impression was deeply ingrained in everyone's mind. If Toru Watanabe wasn't the one who was harassed, he wouldn't believe it either. For example, even after the scene just now, everyone quickly felt relieved. They thought that my Asahi, who was obsessed with music, was just suddenly interested in music and games, so she didn't care about the distance between men and women. Kaoru Hayami showed a helpless expression. Tomorrow-senpai is still the same. Were you scared, Watanabe classmate? Yes, I was scared. Toru Watanabe quickly turned his chair around and sat upright, in case he was attacked again. He curiously asked, still the same? Does Tomorrow-senpai often do this kind of thing? Frightening people from behind. Nope. Kaoru Hayami looked at my Asahi, who was focused on playing the game. Since a long time ago, Tomorrow-senpai wasn't interested in anything except music. She turned her gaze to Toru Watanabe, so when she suddenly did this kind of thing, no one was surprised. After saying that, Kaoru Hayami suddenly tilted her head, and with her slightly hoarse voice, she asked, But it's strange, Watanabe classmate, you also played games during your break time before, right? Why is Tomorrow-senpai suddenly interested this time? Maybe it's because she didn't pay attention to me before. This time she's interested because Morning-senpai suddenly started playing. Did I make a lot of noise when I was playing just now? It's okay, it probably didn't spread outside the classroom. Ah, so embarrassing. Morning Kaoru covered her nose and lips with her hands, and shyly lowered her eyes. It's okay, it's more exciting to shout when playing games. Some of my male friends also play games. I'm going to the toilet. Kaoru Hayami lifted her skirt and ran out of the music classroom. So cute, if only my girlfriend was her, even if her looks weren't that exaggerated. After a while, Asako Hanada replaced Aoi Ichiki and returned Toru Watanabe's phone. Watanabe classmate, here. Asako Hanada was like a rabbit that poked its head out of its hole, and handed over the phone. Thank you, senpai. Toru Watanabe reached out to take the phone while looking at Aoi Ichiki. She seemed to have downloaded the same music game on her phone, and was talking to Myasahi about something. Myasahi ignored her and focused on playing on her phone. Her behavior didn't arouse anyone's suspicions, and the only one who knew the truth was Toru Watanabe. But he thought that ignoring her was already good enough. Toru Watanabe imagined that every time he was doing something good, he would be interrupted by the same person. He was afraid that she would have already gotten rid of her. Toru Watanabe turned around and looked at his phone. He tried to pull his phone out, but he still couldn't get it out of Asako Hanada's hands. Senpai, that. Asako Hanada took a deep breath and widened her eyes, but she still couldn't finish her sentence. What's the matter? Toru Watanabe was worried that she would crush his phone screen. Faced with Toru Watanabe's gaze, Asako Hanada turned her face away and felt the heat on her face. She opened her mouth slightly again and took a deep breath, and said softly, Watanabe classmate, after today's training, do you have time? No. I want to meet you outside the school. Wait, shouldn't I say no? I have something important to tell you. How important is it? Senpai, can you give me my phone first? Very, very important. During the final exam, I was also worried about this matter. I definitely won't be able to sleep today. Asako Hanada was like a well-behaved kindergarten child arguing with the teacher, and she replied very childishly. That's really quite serious. I suggest you see a doctor. Phone. No. Asako Hanada shook her head with her eyes closed. That's mine. Doctors can't. Ah, you're talking about this? Anyway, can you help me? Only Watanabe classmate can let me sleep comfortably. If you mean to hit the back of your head, I suggest you find the students in the percussion department. They are professionals. No. Asako Hanada seemed a little angry for some reason. Anyway, please wait for me at Beck's Cafe after school, Watanabe classmate. Looking at the phone that was about to give out, Toru Watanabe had no choice but to say, if it's not too long, I can go. Asako Hanada breathed a sigh of relief. Her heels finally fell, and she fell to 5 meters below. Senpai phone. I'm sorry. Asako Hanada's little face was hot. She easily took the phone away from Toru Watanabe and held it with both hands. Watanabe classmate, I'm returning your phone. Toru Watanabe took it. Thank you. Chapter 96. Beck Coffee Shop was probably the closest coffee shop to Seitani Station apart from the coffee shops directly connected to it. Students from nearby Sophia University often came here to study or go on dates on weekends. Popular songs were playing in the shop, and the decoration was also in a young style. The business philosophy was the opposite of the one Toru Watanabe went to last time. After ordering an iced latte on the first floor, Toru Watanabe went up to the second floor to find a seat. The counter on the second floor by the window had a very good view. For example, The colorful high-rise buildings in the Shinjuku district in the distance were very good. Therefore, Toru Watanabe's resentment of being forced to meet was reduced a little. While drinking coffee, he flipped through the remaining pages of Don Quixote to pass the time. He was not interested in the childish Don Quixote's night dream. The reason he insisted on reading was purely to not be too bored while learning Spanish. As for whether it could enrich his cultural heritage, he could not pursue it. After flipping through the front again to make sure that the original words were familiar, he looked at the back 2 pages. Asako Hanada, carrying her school bag, walked up to the second floor with the coffee. "Sorry I'm late." Asako Hanada also sat down at the counter by the window. "It's okay, it's night anyway." Toru Watanabe watched her put her school bag at her feet, humming a song as she picked up the spoon to stir the cream on the coffee, looking forward to the taste of the coffee. "Why do you say that?" Asako Hanada looked at Toru Watanabe in confusion. "If I sit here alone during the day, I'll be hit on and want to go home directly." Asako Hanada smiled cutely. Watanabe classmate really likes to joke. "No, I didn't." "Forget it, just take it as a joke." "So, why did you call me out?" Asako Hanada, who agreed, put down the spoon, picked up the coffee with her small hands as if to keep warm, took a small sip, and sighed, "It's delicious." Toru Watanabe was speechless. Asako Hanada tilted her head and looked at Toru Watanabe, who was staring at her in confusion. Then, she suddenly understood. She said, "I ordered the Italian fancy mocha, made with a 13-ounce espresso and a 23-ounce hot milk, with chocolate added. I don't really like dark chocolate, so I added milk." What a coincidence. Spaghetti and chocolate are both good. Toru Watanabe sighed helplessly. "What I want to know is, why did you ask me to come here?" "Ah, I'm sorry." So that's what Watanabe was talking about. What else could it be? Although I'm a member of the Human Observation Department, so far, our department doesn't have a project to investigate what kind of coffee young human women like to drink. I understand. Asako Hanada put down the coffee, grabbed the hem of her skirt at her knees, and stared down at the Italian coffee. Toru Watanabe stirred the ice cubes in his coffee cup and quietly waited for her to organize her thoughts. Actually, Asako Hanada mustered up her courage. "I hate Watanabe." "Ah, I know. So. Sorry, please wait a moment." Asako Hanada took a sip of her coffee, and her nervous mood was significantly relieved. She continued, "Watanabe, what do you think love is?" "Huh? Please answer me." Asako Hanada grabbed the hem of her skirt tightly, and her grape-like eyes stared at Toru Watanabe without blinking. "Don't be so loud, don't get excited. Please answer me." "I will answer you. But I need time to think about it since I'm suddenly asked such a question." "Then, please think about it carefully, Watanabe." Toru Watanabe took a sip of his latte and pretended to think. How could he suddenly come up with an answer to this kind of question? Besides, compared to what love was, he was more interested in knowing what Asako Hanada wanted to do. "Have you thought of it, Watanabe?" Asako Hanada was like a tutor chasing after a student. "Like coffee." Toru Watanabe casually made up a story. "Coffee? Yes." Toru Watanabe held the coffee cup horizontally and looked at the Beck logo on it. There's a song lyrics that say, "The taste of love is like this cup of bitter coffee. Although you can add some sugar, it still makes one's heart pale." Is there such a song? It's a Chinese song. There was a song, but the original lyrics were, "The taste of longing is like this cup of bitter coffee." So, Watanabe classmate believes that even if there are sweet times in love, the essence is still bitter. So that's the case? Then that's it. Toru Watanabe felt that this explanation unexpectedly made sense. Could it be that after reading too many books like How to Please a Rich Woman, he also became an expert in hosting a late-night emotional broadcast? But, Asako Hanada said angrily, even if love is bitter, the passion will fade, and the love can't be maintained forever. You can't do things that are unfair to the other party. It was close to 12 o'clock, and there were still 4 customers in the shop, all looking at them. Toru Watanabe pressed his hands in the air. Calm down, senior. Did your boyfriend cheat on you? It's Watanabe, classmate. You did something that was unfair to Kujo, classmate. No. You did. No. You did. Asako Hanada shouted angrily like a primary school student who was wronged by an adult. Don't think that you can talk nonsense just because you're a senior. I'm an honest country person, and I hate people who talk nonsense. Why do you send Kiyono, classmate, back home every night? She's in poor health, and I'm worried that it's not safe for her to walk alone at night. After explaining, Toru Watanabe said in a lecturing tone, Senior Asako Hanada, you're always suspicious of other people's infidelity because you're too suspicious and look at people with colored glasses. Although I don't know much about relationships, I know that the most important thing between two parties is trust. Then what about you and Senior tomorrow? Today, she came over on her own accord, and it was only for the game. Toru Watanabe pretended to be impatient, but in fact, he guiltily picked up his coffee and prepared to leave in one gulp. Why did she undress you that day in the activity room of the Human Observation Department? I don't know what you're talking about. Toru Watanabe put down his coffee cup, picked up his bag, and stood up. I have to catch the last tram, so I'll leave first. Asako Hanada grabbed Toru Watanabe's arm and almost pulled him down. I took a picture of it all. Toru Watanabe turned around. Although the picture on the phone was blurry, he could easily recognize that the person taking off her clothes was Mayasahi. The person opposite Mayasahi couldn't see her face, but anyone familiar with her would know who she was. Moreover, the location was obviously in the activity room of the Human Observation Department. Damn it, I was worried that she would see it. Toru Watanabe regretted it. But if regret was useful, there wouldn't be any regrets in the world. Now that things had come to this, he could only think of a way to remedy it. Toru Watanabe tidied up his shirt and sat down again. Senior Hanada, what do you plan to do? Asako Hanada took a deep breath. If Watanabe doesn't correct it, I'll tell this to Kujo. Wait, I'll die if you do that. Toru Watanabe was shocked. Then you correct it. It's not that simple. Toru Watanabe deliberately smiled bitterly. He suddenly realized that this was a good opportunity to get rid of Mayasahi. Although he was a little reluctant, he wanted to have a great career. In fact, it was to survive. He couldn't have a bad record like cheating. He had to be unbreakable and not give his opponent any chance. What's so difficult about it? Asako Hanada questioned. Senior, don't be anxious. Toru Watanabe comforted her. I can understand that you have to be loyal to your pursuit of love. I agree with this point of view. Then why did Watanabe do something to let Kujo down? This matter. Toru Watanabe hesitated for 2 seconds. Senior Hanada was actually the one who initiated it. Senior Mai? Yes. Actually, Senior Mayasahi is a fool. Asako Hanada's little mouth was open. He could vaguely see her pink little tongue. Her cute face was frozen with a surprised expression. All along, she was the one who initiated this kind of thing. Toru Watanabe said painfully. I really tried my best to refuse, but you saw it today. In front of so many people, she still pressed her chest on me and seduced me. If this continues, I'm really worried that I'll do something to let Miki down. So, it's like this. Asako Hanada murmured, still in a daze. Ever since the first time she harassed me, I didn't want to go to the playing department. But for the competition, I had to participate in training. During the break time, at first, I would escape to the activity classroom of the Human Observation Department. But once, she directly ran over and began to take off her clothes. No matter how hard I tried to stop her, I couldn't. Asako Hanada picked up the Italian coffee and gulped down several mouthfuls. Looking at her frightened expression, Toru Watanabe tried his best to hold back his laughter. Later, even if the music classroom was full of people who hated me, I could only choose to stay there during the break time. But you saw what she did today. Senior Hanada. Toru Watanabe pressed Asako Hanada's little shoulder and looked straight into her eyes. Please, can you stop Senior Hanada from doing this kind of thing again? Asako Hanada slowly came back to her senses, then immediately pushed Toru Watanabe away with a red face. This can be considered as a parting gift for Heshin tomorrow. Toru Watanabe felt the pleasure of breaking a taboo when he had physical contact with a girl who had emotional misophobia. This was also a punishment for Asako Hanada for meddling in other people's business, although in the end, she would probably become his tool. Although physical contact was not to the extent of a lifetime like kissing, the impact on Asako Hanada was not small. She lowered her head for a long time and did not speak. Toru Watanabe saw that the shop was about to close if he waited any longer, so he could only open his mouth and call, "Senior Hanada?" "Ah. Can you help me persuade Senior Miyasahi?" Asako Hanada said in a voice that would not have been heard if the shop was not quiet enough. I can't be sure that Watanabe classmate is telling the truth. You can ask Miyasahi for confirmation." "Idiot, idiot, idiot, how can you say something like that in person? Didn't you tell me as well?" Toru Watanabe asked curiously. "I thought for a long time before." Asako Hanada looked up excitedly. Just as her eyes met with Toru Watanabe's, she immediately buried her face with a woo. Toru Watanabe could only see a small part of her side profile and her red ears. How cute! If there was no system that encouraged him to become a scumbag, dating Asako Hanada would be a good choice. This damn system, it can't do anything right. Then what do you plan to do? Let Miyasahi harass me and watch me continue to walk in the direction of letting Miki down? I'll find a way to confirm. Asako Hanada stood up. I'll go back first today. Goodbye, Watanabe classmate. Senior, your bag. The two walked downstairs, and the coffee shop was just closing. It's so late, do you want me to send you back? Don't worry, I'll be 1 meter away from you. No need. Asako Hanada hurriedly shook her head. Right now, she just wanted to stay as far away from Toru Watanabe as possible. I'll have to trouble you today. I'll go first. Be careful on the road. Asako Hanada quickly walked a few steps towards the bus stop, but suddenly stopped in place. Tetsumasa Watanabe was puzzled. She trembled, turned around, and said with a sobbing tone, The tram is gone. It's gone? It took Toru Watanabe a second to realize that she meant that the last tram had left. Is Hanada-senpai's house very far from here? Yeah. Asako Hanada's hands that were originally holding her bag freed up one of her hands and pitifully wiped her tears. For a primary school student, who had never experienced such a thing, it was indeed scary. Can I call a taxi? I'll call a taxi for you. Asako Hanada sobbed as she took out a small pink wallet from her bag. 30, only 30. So little. Drink coffee, wa. Don't cry. I'll lend you the money first. You can return it to me tomorrow. Toru Watanabe really had no way to deal with a crying woman. Yeah. Asako Hanada sobbed as she nodded. Thank you. Japan's taxi fare was very expensive. Toru Watanabe had some money on him, but it was definitely not enough. The two of them had no choice but to go to a convenience store to withdraw money. Although they should be able to find a convenience store nearby, Toru Watanabe still brought Asako Hanada to the convenience store in the direction of his rented house in order to go back as soon as possible. It was midnight on the street, and the rows of street lamps extended to the end of the darkness. In the quiet world, only the sound of wheels rolling on the road could be heard. There was a trace of coldness in the air. The two of them arrived at a 711 convenience store. Tetsumasa Watanabe was about to go in to withdraw money when the door opened. A girl with shoulder-length hair, wearing the Kanagawa High School uniform, a sweater, and headphones, walked out. She was as beautiful as the goddess of the night. Are you two on a date? Rin Kiyono looked at the two people in front of her. Tetsumasa Watanabe organized his words, thinking about how to skip over Miyasahi's matter and explain it clearly without lying. Rin Kiyono had already taken out the phone connected to her headphones. "Hanada-senpai, do you need me to help you call the police?" Her finger was already unlocking. "Why?" Toru Watanabe quickly grabbed her wrist. Rin Kiyono took off one of her headphones and looked at him with a questioning gaze. "No, Kiyono classmate, you misunderstood." Asako Hanada quickly explained with a sobbing voice, "I accidentally missed the last tram. Watanabe classmate is going to lend me the money." "I see." Rin Kiyono nodded and locked her phone again. "Is my image in your mind that bad?" Toru Watanabe unhappily let go of her hand. "Not really. But I don't know why, but when I saw Watanabe classmate walking alone with a girl at night, the first thing I thought of was to call the police." "That's not bad enough? Forget it, I'll go withdraw the money first." "Wait." Rin Kiyono stopped Toru Watanabe, who was about to enter the convenience store, and said to Asako Hanada, "Hanada-senpai is so cute, it's too dangerous for her to take a taxi alone at night. She can sleep at my place tonight." That's better. When Toru Watanabe first came to Tokyo, he even saw the taxi driver who stopped by the roadside reading an adult book. Asako Hanada was after all a very cute girl, and her character was so timid. Although her physique was only 8 points, it still made people feel uneasy. "Can I?" Asako Hanada was also afraid of staying in a small space with an adult male at night. "It's okay, there's an extra room anyway." Listening to Rin Kiyono's indifferent tone, Toru Watanabe's heart was full of envy. His rental house only had a living room and a bathroom. "Then I'll go first." Toru Watanabe's rental house was not far from here. "You also come with me," Rin Kiyono called him. "Huh?" Toru Watanabe suspected that he heard wrong. Asako Hanada covered her mouth, looking back and forth between the two of them in disbelief. Toru Watanabe's brain is only filled with lust? Didn't you ask me to borrow The Great Matchmaker and The Unlucky Girl? Rin Kiyono helplessly sighed. There is such a thing. Don Quixote was almost finished, so Toru Watanabe asked Rin Kiyono to borrow new books. The Great Matchmaker and The Unlucky Girl were also Spanish classics, and the author also won the Nobel Prize in Literature. Originally I wanted to bring them to school tomorrow, but I happened to meet Hanada-senpai, so you can go back with me to get them. Toru Watanabe could understand her. After all, he only had 3 points of physique, and carrying 2 more books in the summer would make him sweat. So the 3 of them went to Rin Kiyono's high-end apartment across from the convenience store. As soon as they entered the living room, Toru Watanabe, who was looking at the simple decoration, heard Rin Kiyono's scream. Turning around, he saw that she took 2 things from the sofa. It seemed to be a pair of stockings and a blue underwear. Toru Watanabe remembered. Girls in the summer do have the habit of taking off their underwear as soon as they get home. In other words, Rin Kiyono's upper body was not tied up? Toru Watanabe knew that there was nothing to see in the Kanto plain, but out of male instinct, he pretended to look in another direction. In the end, he only saw a sweater without any ups and downs, and Rin Kiyono's murderous gaze. You saw it?" "No." Rin Kiyono pulled the headphones straight. Wait. What else do you want to say?" Rin Kiyono said word by word. At this time, Toru Watanabe remembered something. It would definitely help him escape from this crisis. "Kiyono classmate, do you still remember the book, Downton Abbey, that you borrowed from me? There is a line in it, there can be to mind all relationships. It means, between people, if you speak too much the truth, it will also lead to extreme. Go to hell. Well, it seems that it won't help him escape from this crisis. In fact, Toru Watanabe knew that it won't, but he was in a good mood and wanted to tease Rin Kiyono. Although he didn't get the book in the end, he felt that this trip was worth it. On the way back to the apartment, Toru Watanabe ran back. Chapter 97. Toru Watanabe doesn't run on rainy days. He usually does some simple exercises in his rented house. But today, because he woke up late, he had to go to school first. After the first class, Toru Watanabe did push-ups at the back of the classroom. Osamu Kunai saw this and also did the same. Keisuke Saito counted on the side. Unknowingly, like the last swimming class, it became an eye-catching competition. Come on, Watanabe. It was the girl from the kendo department who sat in front of Toru Watanabe. Don't lose to him, Kunai. The boys all cheered for Osamu Kunai. Toru Watanabe's physical strength is not as good as Osamu Kunai's. His speed is slower than him, and the total number of times he did was far less than him. Watanabe, what's the matter with you? Keisuke Saito loudly teased. So weak, Watanabe. You guys. Toru Watanabe fiercely drank a few mouthfuls of water. 30 years in the East, 30 years in the West, don't look down on a young man. Unfortunately, these guys don't know the power of this sentence. They are still laughing. In the future they will cry. Kun Watanabe, did your physical strength become stronger? The kendo department girl stood in her seat with her butt against the table and said to Toru Watanabe with her skirt. Kazumi, don't keep looking at Kun Watanabe, he already has a girlfriend. The girl next to her laughed. That's right. Look at me too. Osamu Kunai stroked his buzz cut from front to back and made a bodybuilding posture. Look at me too. Keisuke Saito and Osamu Kunai back to back, showing off their biceps. You guys are so long-winded. Ikeda Kazumi angrily waved her hand at the three of them. Toru Watanabe put down the cup and said while panting, I've been working out since spring. My physical strength has improved a lot. The push-ups just now were morning exercises. A loss is a loss. Don't find excuses. Osamu Kunai hissed. Exactly. Are you only allowed to be good at badminton and tennis, but we are not allowed to be good at push-ups? Keisuke Saito said as if he had done it himself. Toru Watanabe forced a smile and said, You too. Nah, Kun Watanabe, I know a fitness exercise, it's very useful. Ikeda Kazumi suddenly thought of something and said excitedly. Toru Watanabe didn't have much strength and didn't really want to talk. He softly said, and Asako Hanada blushed for some reason. Do you know the theme song of Cherry Meatball, Let's Dance? I know, Cherry Meatball. Toru Watanabe shook his head. I'll show you. Ikeda Kazumi jumped out of her seat and went to the back of the classroom where they were doing push-ups. Oh! The boys clapped and made a hooting sound. Like this. The somewhat shy Ikeda Kazumi spread her legs, raised her hands, and jumped twice on the spot. Her school uniform skirt jumped and her chest swayed. The boys' eyes also followed up and down. And then like this. Ikeda Kazumi raised her right arm in front of her chest, put her feet in front of her, and then changed to her left arm, and her legs changed positions. That's it. Toru Watanabe felt that it was worse than radio gymnastics. There are still a lot of movements behind. Ikeda Kazumi changed her posture. Kazumi, dance for us to see. The boys with bad intentions jeered. No. I'm too shy to be alone. Ikeda Kazumi refused very firmly. She had always insisted on doing this cute dance, and in her heart she also wanted to show it in front of the boys. The girl on the side pointed at Toru Watanabe and said, Then let Kun Watanabe also dance. Me? That's right. Just in time to learn. Hurry up. If Kun Watanabe is with me, I'll dance once. Ikeda Kazumi covered her mouth with the back of her hand, and said shyly with a little bit of expectation. Without waiting for Toru Watanabe to express his opinion, the boys rushed forward and lifted Toru Watanabe from his seat. I'll dance, I'll dance. Don't touch my pants. Ha ha ha. You guys forget your friends when you see a girl. Toru Watanabe scolded while adjusting the position of his belt. Ikeda Kazumi stood in position, and kept staring at Toru Watanabe's slim waist under his shirt. She smiled and said, Are you ready? At this point, they could only do it. After confirming that there was no problem with the belt, Toru Watanabe stood beside her. Come on. Alright, remember to sing. Sing? You even need to bring your own background music? Of course. Let's dance. Even if you haven't heard it, you know how to sing it. I've never heard of such a magical song. It's okay, once you hear it, and the rhythm will be better when you sing and dance. Okay. Let's begin. The first two silly movements were still known by Toru Watanabe, and at the same time, Ikeda Kazumi started to sing Let's Dance, that, even if you haven't heard it, you know how to sing it. No matter what, let's dance together. She raised her hands and patted the seam of her pants, and her feet jumped 2 steps forward and 2 steps back in a strange rhythm. Suddenly, from the pot, the uncle who likes to lie appears. She raised her hands and lifted her legs up and down. I'll never forget, Edison is a great man. She swung her arms like a fool and strode on the spot. Toru Watanabe stopped, stared at her dance steps, and tilted his head twice in embarrassment. Kuen Watanabe, don't stop. Ikeda Kazumi crossed her hands on her shoulders, and twisted her body for a while. This is common sense. Ta-ta-ta-ta la. The boys roared with laughter and twisted along with her. Their mouths sang in unison, pi-kala, pa-pa-pa-pa-pa, ta-ta-ta-la-la-la-la, twist your body like a grass, hands together to the top right, top left, bottom right. All the students in the class looked over, pointing at the clumsy boys and whispering to each other. From the shadow of the telephone pole, the comedian appears. The final exams were over, and there were still 3 days before the summer vacation, so everyone was much more active than usual. Don't want carrots singing spread out of the classroom. You have a new email. Stamina. 5-6-inch Toru Watanabe tugged at his tie, and finally danced with more vigor. From time to time, a move that was cute to the girls, but funny to the boys, caused the girls in class to giggle and take out their phones to take pictures. The atmosphere was at its climax, and there was a knock at the back door of the classroom, interrupting everyone's singing and aerobics. Everyone in Year 1 Class 4 looked over, wanting to see who was so insensible. When they saw who it was as if their mouths were gagged, and they couldn't say a word. With her arms crossed, Miss Kujo stood there with an awe-inspiring aura, as if she was the center of the world. Did you have fun? Her voice was as beautiful as the aurora, and as cold as the aurora. Not bad. Toru Watanabe, who was favored by the aurora, bit his tongue. Kazumi Ikeda lowered her head and quickly walked back to her seat, and the rest of the boys instantly returned to their seats, and pretended to pick up their books to read. These traitors. In the area where they were square dancing just now, only the Toru Watanabe, which was locked onto by the enemy, was left fighting alone. Miki Kujo sneered, and walked into the classroom of Year 1 Class 4. She had long black hair, was neatly dressed in her uniform, and her steps were majestic, as if this was Year 1 Class 2. She stopped in front of Toru Watanabe, and looked at him up and down without any scruples. What's wrong? Toru Watanabe's heart was beating fast. The satisfaction of the physical improvement was like the smoke that was wet by the rain outside the window, difficult to rise, and could only turn into mist and grass. So sloppy, no matter what, the tie can't be loosened, okay? Miki Kujo said gently, and her hand suddenly tightened Toru Watanabe's tie. Miki Kujo put her face in front of Toru Watanabe, so close that the two could see nothing but each other's eyes. Do you like to dance? She stared at Toru Watanabe without blinking and asked. It's okay. Toru Watanabe smelled the fragrance of her hair, and it was difficult to breathe. Miki Kujo sneered, There's a ball in a few days, you should go with me. I have club work during the summer vacation. It's not that I don't want to go, but I don't know how to dance like you. If you embarrass me at the ball, you can just wait to be squeezed dry. Miki Kujo, who was not listening to Toru Watanabe at all, straightened his tie with a smile, like an executioner sharpening a knife. The tie was indeed not a good thing. Squeezing dry won't kill me, right? If it was just a few times, Tetsumasa Watanabe was at the age where he had nowhere to vent his energy, so he didn't have to worry at all. What's the point of not dying, Miki Kujo said matter-of-factly. I think this is a beautiful thing, and it shouldn't be associated with death. Death is also a kind of beauty, and I advocate mourning. Miki Kujo, who was done with the tie, turned around and was about to walk out of the classroom. By the way, you won't loosen your tie again after I leave, right? I want to live well, and then marry you when I'm 18. Miki Kujo sneered, but I don't think you want to live until you're 18. That's not true. Please believe me. Show me your actions, don't be so glib all the time, Miki Kujo reprimanded him, and disappeared through the back door of the classroom. Toru Watanabe's heart was finally at ease, and his hand subconsciously reached for his tie, trying to make his nervous and stuffy body feel more comfortable. After some thought, he decided to forget about it. He wasn't scared. According to the second chapter of the third chapter of the Student Handbook of East Kyoto Kamigawa High School, when students are in school, the boy's tie and the girl's bow knot must be neat and tidy, and give a good impression of a high school student. By the way, the summer had strict requirements for the color of girls' underwear, and it had to be white, navy, light blue, and other light colors. Speaking of light blue, Toru Watanabe was reminded of Rin Kiyono. It was because of her that he overslept today, which led to a series of events, and he even had to attend some damned upper-class ball. Hey, Watanabe, what did Kujo say to you? Osamu Kunai and the others gathered together like a herd of antelopes after the tiger left. She said she wants to kill you all. No one believed him at all. More like she wants to kill you. It can't be true, right? Sigh. Toru Watanabe sighed helplessly. Keisuke Saito picked up Toru Watanabe's white eraser, placed it vertically on Toru Watanabe's desk, and began praying with his hands clasped together. I'm not dead yet, and at least put a flower on it. Let's rehearse first, familiarize ourselves with the movements. Ikeda Kazumi made an apologetic gesture to Toru Watanabe from her seat, and Toru Watanabe waved his hand casually. Osamu Kunai patted Toru Watanabe's shoulder hard. Why do you look so dejected? It's a reward to be sentenced to death by the jealous Kujo. What nonsense are you talking about? You can ask the others if you don't believe me. Toru Watanabe looked around at the boys, and all of them had a look of agreement. Someone even said, and Kiyono, if the two of them stare at me with contempt, I'll think it's a reward. This was indeed a world where human interests were so strange that it was strange. Toru Watanabe made up his mind. No matter how long it would be in the future, no matter what kind of temptation he faced, he would never wallow in evil. He would only do what he thought he should do, and become the only light. Transform, Tiga. I feel like something's not right. Forget it. Toru Watanabe let his imagination run wild, and after his gloomy mood was alleviated, he didn't care about whether Ultraman wanted to transform or not. At noon, the final exam results were posted, and the two ladies also began to study. Toru Watanabe once again got third place. There was no progress in the first semester, and the road to Tokyo Handsome Guy seemed to be long. But the real decisive moment would be in the national exam 2 years later. Not only would he surpass them, he would also become the #1 in Japan. During the lunch break, during the music department's training break, Toru Watanabe walked to the conductor's seat and placed his hands on the side of the podium. Kiyono, is it convenient? I have something to ask you. What do you rich people do at the ball? Toru Watanabe looked at her writing and drawing on the music score that was already full of words. Eating. Is this you? Rin Kiyono raised her eyes and glanced at Toru Watanabe. Kujo-san wants to take you to the ball? Toru Watanabe nodded with a painful expression. It seems that you two get along well. Rin Kiyono withdrew her gaze and continued to write on the music score. Get along well. May I ask how you can tell? She already said that if I don't dance well, she will kill me in an extremely cruel way. You know, I'm a poor boy from the countryside, how can I dance well? You can learn from Jack. Jack. The Jack from You Jump, I Jump. Titanic. You should at least remember the movie name. Now I remember. Toru Watanabe pointed at the podium with his index finger. Even if my image and temperament are better than Jack, and my learning ability is better than his, I can learn etiquette in a short time, but dancing is another matter. You don't have to dance at the ball. Can you not dance? Every time I go, I only eat. Rin Kiyono brought out irrefutable evidence. But Kujo will definitely let me dance with her. You can refuse. You know, I'm not very good at refusing her request. Sorry, I don't know. Do you want to explain to me why you can't refuse? Don't worry about this for now. Once you think about it, you will regret it to the point that you want to commit suicide by lying on the tracks on the road from Four Valley Station to Water of Imperial Tea. Do you have a way to help me learn to dance in a short time? Why should I help you? Rin Kiyono raised her head, her clear pupils reflecting Toru Watanabe's face. Looking directly at the face of a girl with 9 points charm is not good for the heart. Toru Watanabe stood up straight. Because this is your fault. My fault? That's right. Yesterday I accidentally saw your something, and I couldn't sleep in the middle of the night, so I woke up late today. Then I sang and danced in the classroom while singing the theme song of Cherry Maru, and got caught. Why can't you sleep? Are you sure you want to know? Rin Kiyono looked at Toru Watanabe's ambiguous expression, frowned, and slightly leaned back. Forget it, I always feel that you will say something disgusting. I accidentally forgot to put my something away, but this is not enough to be a reason for me to help you. Are you going to watch me die without saving me? I'm your only friend, Kiyono. Yesterday when you saw my something, I decided to temporarily break off our friendship. That's force majeure. It was you who invited me to your house, right? Toru Watanabe tried his best to explain, and at that time I heard you scream. I was worried about you. I was worried that something would happen to you, so I immediately looked over. You know if my words are true or not. Who wants you to worry? What kind of crappy reason is that? In my own apartment, as long as I have a normal person's IQ, nothing will happen. Why are you suddenly angry? Toru Watanabe was puzzled. If you don't want to help, then forget it. I never intended to force you to do anything for me. Forget it, I'll think of something myself. Toru Watanabe turned and walked back to his seat. Come back. What's wrong? Toru Watanabe turned around. Rin Kiyono was silent for a while, then sighed. First of all, I don't feel guilty about your insomnia. I'm helping you for the sake of the band, no, for the sake of the Human Observation Department. Thank you. But why did you suddenly change your mind? Rin Kiyono looked at him with an extremely cold gaze, comparable to the Siberian cold wind. Okay, I won't ask. Toru Watanabe raised his hands in front of his chest, palms facing her. Then, this ball. Stay in the club's classroom after 9 p.m. After saying that, Rin Kiyono continued to bury her head in the music score. It seems that Kiyono still loves me, Tetsumasa Watanabe thought happily, but when he turned around, he was almost scared to death by Asako Hanada, who was right in front of him with her fists clenched. Hanada-senpai! What are you doing? Asako Hanada didn't say a word. Looking at her angry expression, it was as if she could punch him at any time. If they really fought, Toru Watanabe, who had 6 points of stamina, could use all kinds of methods to bully her even if he only had 3 points of stamina. But if she sent the photo to Miki Kujo in a fit of anger, then there would be no need for him to prepare for the ball, and he could directly perform the Tokyo Battle Royale tonight. When the two of them were anxious and didn't know what to do, Rin Kiyono opened her mouth. Hanada-senpai, if you don't trust us, you can also come with us. I will supervise you. Looking at Asako Hanada walking away like a member of the discipline committee, Toru Watanabe cautiously asked Rin Kiyono, "She told you?" I also didn't expect that there would be people who would suspect that we are a couple just because we walk together. Maybe it's because we look alike. Listening to Rin Kiyono's tone, she probably didn't know about him and my Asahi. Fortunately. Who looks like you? Hurry up and go back to your seat. I found that you get angry very easily today. Is it your period? Although it's summer, remember to drink more hot water. Rin Kiyono's gaze was sharp, and the temperature instantly dropped to freezing point. Toru Watanabe could only surrender and obediently return to his seat. You're tuning in to the Narrate and Escape YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.